Hello everyone and welcome to another episode where we're going to be looking at meme stock meltdowns and other cringy meme stock stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. If you're one of the people who found me because Dan Olson recently did a documentary, we're going to go in depths on some of these videos of these bag holders. It's going to be interesting. We're going to see a lot of delusion, so I hope you like what you see and you hang out. See, we're on a hype train. Let's see what I missed so far. Creepy Doll on the Wall, thanks for 27 months, says, Hannah, we really ought to start aborting these sub-babies. You never pay attention to the other two we already have. Do you even know their names? Shit, I don't remember either. Oops. Okay, this one will be easy to remember. The name of this baby is I Don't Remember. First, middle, last. You're welcome. Gnome Pickle says, behold, the train is already underway, for we are mighty. And that catches us up, I think. Oh, Clockwork Van also gifted 2 tier 1 subs. Why didn't I see that on this screen? That's weird. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything else. The term meme stock implies that all stocks aren't in and of themselves memes. Dan Olson commented on that in his recent documentary. I know what you're talking about. But there's a difference. There is. It's fine to point out that stocks generally and the market in general fundamentally works on narratives and uses fundamentals as a tool within those narratives, but to act as though there is no difference between meme stocks and something like Apple, I think is reductive to the point of being incorrect. But it's a solid thing to bring up, the similarities, because there are similarities. 4% to level 2 on the hype train. While we're doing that, let's just start getting into it. Why not? We have so much material. I watched VHS 85 last night. It was pretty good. Horror movie fans, maybe check it out. Poetic Fox, thanks for 31 months. Says 31 months, Hannah. Been quite a bit, huh? Indeed it has. I can't believe it. Thanks, Mr. Blast. Canadian Unicorn says, just got in. Have we started yet? We're just about to. We're just about to. You're just in time. 26% to level 2 on the hype train. Alright, so before we get into PP and Morantz and some of the other ones I've covered more often, let's take a look at this gentleman by the name of Houston Wade. He is a Bed Bath & Beyond bag holder. He's been on the PP show a few times, and he is still in denial about the fact that Bed Bath & Beyond shares were canceled, extinguished, deleted. They're gone. They no longer exist, but he and the other baggies are in denial, unfortunately for them. So let's watch some of his live stream where he theory crafts and desperately tries to pretend that reality isn't knocking at his door. Wowzers. Nemesaur. Oh boy, Nemesaur, thank you so much for gifting 20 tier 1 subs. Gosh, you are so generous all the time. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. My dead, cold heart. Thank you. 20% to level 5.
Right, little fat boy? Oh, look at that butt. Look at that little butt.
At least he has a cat. That's based.
Okay, everybody. Here we go. It's speculation station still.
It's not speculation station. We are now at the station that is called You Have No Shares. Oh, fun fact, chat. Here's great. This is great. You and I, collectively, have the same amount of shares in Bed Bath & Beyond as everyone who's ever appeared on the PP show. We did it. We have the same number of shares as PP and ABC and Michael. We did it, chat. Woo!
No documents dropped today. Could be any number of reasons. Probably that the SEC, I guess, was closed today. Washington State does not celebrate this holiday, and I just assumed
He released this on what is typically Columbus Day, I believe.
that
Or Indigenous Peoples Day, depending on what your state calls it.
posted, but apparently it's a federal holiday. So, Indigenous Peoples Day, Columbus Day, whatever's your poison. It was a holiday today.
Nelly Ravnos, thanks for 3 months.
And we didn't see any documents. So, maybe at midnight, maybe tomorrow morning at 3 a.m., maybe next week. I have no idea. So we are here
Oh, Gnome Pickles with a $10 donation says to celebrate some Hannah streams because you always give Phoenix and me something to watch together. I'm glad. I'm so glad. I hope you guys enjoy watching.
Kind of ponder as to when and where we will see documents dropped. I mean, they gotta drop something. They gotta tell the SEC and everyone what they're doing.
They've spelled out explicitly what they're doing. They've canceled the stock. It's canceled. It's gone. It no longer exists on this plane of existence or any other. It's kind of like you put a portable hole in a bag of holding, and inside the bag of holding were all your shares. But instead of getting scattered to the ethereal realm, they just vanished into nothingness. I'm sorry.
We are definitely on the hopium side that they're going to do something that involves giving us shares in this new company.
Wow, that's a bold strategy. Let's just hope for no reason they give us shares in a company we have no equity in. Why not? Okie Dad, thanks for 16 months, says building Legos, so give me some sweet PPBG noise. Okay, I will. I'll do my best. Oh, happy birthday, Phoenix! How did I miss that? Happy birthday! Hope you're having a good one.
But until we see something, it's all speculation. And here we are, just a speculating. Right, monkey? Speculating. Cat speculating. I'm speculating. We're just speculating. So.
Jesus Christ.
Oh. I'll turn it off. Boom. Daytime? Oh, daytime was on. Daytime is off now. So,
Can I think of a bad movie that I would like to see remade into a good version of itself? Interesting. Maybe a Neil Breen film, just because I think it would be interesting to see the dichotomy between a professional filmmaker and Neil Breen making the same movie. 30 seconds left on the hype train with 40% to level 5. Gnome Pickle says, I speculate that the rich people will give away some of their money to us because we licked their boots and told them we were super special, and told them how super special awesome they are. That's what it comes down to at this point. Hopefully, randomly, rich people will just give them things. For reasons.
We're sitting. We're waiting. Twiddling those thumbs.
You're gonna be twiddling for a while. Thank you, everyone, for the hype train. I appreciate it.
There has been a website that people discovered called teddyholdings.com.
It's fake. That website was fake. It's like a basic-ass, like GoDaddy template.
Now,
I don't know if it was someone fucking with them or what, but it turned out to be fake. Even the other people on the PP show were like, this looks sus.
it might be fake. It might be a pre-launch site. It's kind of organized a little weird. Not quite how I would organize like a massive corporate site. Click on it, read it. I put it in the description.
Oh my god, did he put it in the description? Is it here? No? Did he move it? He didn't put it in the description. Liar. That's a shame.
It's complete fake.
Tucker White says, sir, your stocks aren't pining. It is passed on. Oh.
This parrot is no more. It has ceased to be. It's expired and gone to meet its maker. This is a late parrot. It's a stiff. Bereft of life, it rests in peace. If you hadn't nailed it to the perch, it would be pushing up the daisies. It's run down the curtain and joined the crowd invisible. This is an ex-parrot.
This is Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Well, I better replace it then.
If you want to get anything done in this country, you've got to complain till you're blue in the mouth.
Others are like, what? Why this suddenly appear?
Alternatively, you also could have linked the Black Knight scene. 'Tis but a flesh wound.
So, you know, as long as we're speculating, we may as well do the speculation station. and just see everything that's happening out there. I'm just gonna start reading questions. I didn't do a show earlier today because a friend of mine called. She's like, "Hey, do you want to take dogs for a walk?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." They might be like, "Oh, I'm getting arbitrage." Okay, you're making like 60 cents doing that. Cool. How about we just don't let you make money?
Oh, this is wild. He says he wants to ban arbitrage. That's what he's saying right now. He wants to ban arbitrage, which is so bizarre.
Off arbitrage that way. Okay. John Castro, Houston, just spent the past weekend in Seattle. What beautiful weather. It was lovely. Gardeners in town. I took them out to get burgers on Sunday. It was like 71 degrees. Sat outside.
Get to your shit.
Looked at me very concerned. But then it was over. So.
M. Scheffler says, I enjoyed streams where you watched the Cronenberg documentary. Have you ever considered doing a Monday movie stream? Or a mental health Monday stream where you take a break from conspiracy and other more serious stuff and do movies and other light stuff? Give us all a break from that for all our mental health. But we get to hang out with the community. I think that'd be fun. Yeah, maybe Mondays will become a more stable, chill day. Just because I think that is important. What's arbitrage? Oh, arbitrage is the act of taking a product or currency from one market where it's cheaper and selling it in another market where it's more expensive for a lower price to make money. So for instance, currency, right? Taking the currency from one country and then favorably exchanging it to the currency of another country, that's arbitrage. You can do the same with goods. So let's say you let's say in Brazil, PlayStation 5s are really expensive for a lot of reasons. Tariffs or something. I don't know. And let's say you got possession of a bunch of them in a different country and somehow got them into the country and didn't pay the tariffs. I'm not even talking illegally. Let's assume you somehow go through the legal channels and you have these cheaper ones from another country. Now you can sell them for cheaper than the ones in Brazil, but still more than you bought these for, and you can make a profit. It's basically taking advantage of different pricing in different regions to make money. It's part of the market. Saying you want to ban it is just bizarre. Gitara says, stoner voice, whoa, what? Did he say burgers? What could it mean, bros?
Yeah, nice little quake. 4.2. Something that's not almost memorable. When it gets to like 5, that's when you're like, whoa, that was a big shake.
Oh, this is when he's talking about buying mineral rights. He buys mineral rights? Is this even a real thing, or is he getting scammed? Like, I genuinely don't know. I'm asking if anyone knows. He's like, oh yeah, look at these. You can buy mineral rights to these things. Is that a thing? Is he getting scammed? I don't know.
Contiguous. Unless you start, making a weird corporation and smashing stuff together. But you can get a 180-acre mineral claim. You can't build permanent structures. It's not your land. It's the nation's land. People are allowed to camp and fish and run and hike and do all that stuff.
It is a thing. Okay.
But they just can't take the rocks. You
could get scammed, though? Is there, like, official websites that this goes through versus scam ones?
Own the rights to the rocks. But yeah, there's websites like this. There's, like, Gold Expeditions and others. A lot of these are old claims that may...
Like, I'm not saying this is not... It just looks like someone Googled old mine pictures and, like, put them... I don't know.
They've gone defunct in World War II, and people just went and, like, hey, this place still has gold in it, so we will stay...
If it did, why did it get abandoned?
Restake it and sell it again. Yeah, $4.99, $3,500 bucks.
Yeah, he's also buying them on eBay. He's buying mineral rights on eBay. First name Bunch of Numbers says, I'm pretty sure mineral rights are a real thing that can be bought and sold. I'm far less sure that this guy found somewhere legit to do it. I just don't know, like, does he go out there and actually dig? Does he have equipment? Like, what's the deal? Odd Tall Man says, yay, Hannah. Yay, Odd Tall Man.
They're available on eBay, but you can just go stake your own. You don't need to buy somebody else's. Like, if you're gonna go out in the woods, you may as well find your own and be like, I found this myself. That's much more exciting anyway. So, those only two. I'm all caught up. Sweet.
Thank you, Mr. Blast. That's interesting.
It could be
I wonder if he's legit or finding scams.
possibility.
Maybe a bit of both.
Canada may have 2 negative quarters next quarter, which would be a recession. For a house, there's no one out there. So who gives a shit? So, yeah, Canada needs to figure that part out. Bupulin, do you know how options play out generally in bankruptcy? Nope. Are they the main reason behind waiting for an S1, 10K, etc.?
The options for Bed Bath & Beyond have a date of being settled forcibly on the 20th of this month, all of them, because the stock was canceled. So obviously those options can't really be, you know, it doesn't make sense to have options going out like months to still exist when the stock is canceled. So on the 20th, the options are getting canceled. An option is a, oh gosh. How do I explain this simply? It's an investment where you basically say, hey, I'm betting you that on this date the stock will be worth this much, so you have to either buy or sell from me. There are options and puts that are on either side of the trade.
I think they saw...
Basically, it's a longer-term trade, potentially, where you're making bets on a price, on a specific time period. But they all got pushed back to the 20th of this month, because, again, the stock was canceled, so...
What they're doing with options. Options are going to become a cash-only affair. So if they trigger, they go in the money, they're just going to pay you cash.
Wasn't the stock already canceled? Yeah, but I think, and I could be wrong about this, even though the stocks are canceled, I think people who made agreements prior to buy the stock on that date still owe the money, even though they can't get anything in return. Again, I could be wrong about that. I don't know if everyone's obligations have been wiped out, but I do know that the options are going to be closed out on the 20th. The funniest part would be if the BBBY holders who had options had to pay out to people for nothing, though. That is funny in a dark, depressing way.
Or...
Yeah, they'd be paying for literally nothing. They just made a bad bet, which is what this story is about. Well, not just bad bets, but delusion, cult-like thinking, how social media sites push people into echo chambers, and the Reddit voting system creates weird subcultures with their own languages.
You know, your premium plus whatever the value is of that stock. And that, I think that's how they're going to do it. And they're having them all... Okay, so there's some weird dates. All options, regardless of whether they're set for 2024, 2025, whatever, are expiring on the 20th, which is...
Gee, I wonder why. It's almost like you've been told for months and months what was going to happen, and you've all been ignoring me and everyone else telling you, hey, they filed paperwork that explicitly says you get nothing multiple times. It was approved by a judge. It's gone through. You're still not listening.
11 days away. Phone call.
I hate you, Brent. I hate. Here's the thing. I use Reddit, but Reddit is so cringe, and I hate it. I hate everyone on Reddit who isn't me.
Calls to ComputerShare/Melon about where the shares have been transferred to, said that they're only going to be the transfer agent through the 16th.
Yes, because there's not going to be a new transfer agent, because you don't need a transfer agent for a stock that doesn't exist. Because what would need to be managed or transferred? Nothing, because it doesn't exist. So it's not going to have them as a transfer agent officially, because the stock's been canceled. Like you're doing parkour mentally to try and explain this when the answer is simple. Like, Occam's razor here. What's the more likely answer? What's more simple? That this company that's been saying for months and months that they were going out of business and all the equity was going to be wiped out was right and true, and that happened? Or it's all secret backroom 5D chess in which they're committing securities fraud to hide things from the bankruptcy court? Like, that's not how any of this works.
That's 7 days away. It's a week away.
I just don't know how being a billionaire works. Very true.
Right? So, where are the shares going after that?
They're nowhere. Nowhere. It's gone. It's gone. The stock is gone. There's no more. It doesn't go anywhere. Would it help if I told them, like, don't worry, guys, all your Bed Bath & Beyond stock went to a nice farm where they could roam and be free? Like, would that soothe their minds to the point where they stop being in denial? Like, I don't know how to comfort people when their primary concern is that they don't admit that their investment didn't pay off.
Speculation is they're going to be going on the blockchain.
Your non-existent shares are going to go to the blockchain? What the fuck do you think that means?
We don't know, but this is Speculation Station, so we're speculating. So if it's something that's going to move on to the blockchain...
It's buzzwords. They're a group of financially illiterate people making bad decisions based off cursory Wikipedia research, so they'll use buzzwords as if they mean anything, and because, you know, crypto is this thing that kind of etheric in the first place and bullshit, they'll use that and be like, they're going to the blockchain. It'll be a decentralized exchange. No, the company doesn't exist. Like, what do you think those shares would be connected to? It's gone. There's no company.
On, say, next Monday. Or to another market, or to another transfer agent, whatever weirdness they're doing. I suspect that a lot of shares are going to have to get closed out by the time that happens. Which means that
everything's closed. It's all closed.
Price should be substantial by the time the 20th rolls around, which is... When's the 20th? Is that Friday? 20th? Yes, is that Friday. So, a week from this Friday.
Mr. Blast, that's the thing that's scary. It's not necessarily... The thing about internet cults that is truly, truly scary is that historically, in cults or high control groups, you need to have a leader or a group of leaders who's kind of in on what they're doing, who very intentionally steers the group. The problem is, in the modern world, with algorithms dictating social media sites and what we see, the messaging we see, the posts we see, the news we see, comments from other people like us, getting us all into echo chambers, it's sort of artificially this, like, social media algorithm takes the place of a cult leader. And I know that sounds weird, but it's something that has happened. Like, QAnon, you could argue, like, hey, that has a leader, whoever Q is, or the many people who Q is, whatever. But I would argue that even though Q is a figure at the top of QAnon, it's still not the primary driving force, because Q will generally be very vague. That's the whole point, is that the vagueness allows conspiracy theorists to insert their own personal conspiratorial beliefs in the gaps. It's mostly a movement that, again, is fueled and directed by collective action and algorithms. It's interesting. It's horrifying, but it's incredibly interesting. We've created effectively, accidentally, online free-form decentralized cults. Yeah. Whoops. Hydrate. Welcome to the internet. Have a look around.
Weird.
IRS says Microsoft owes $29 billion in unpaid taxes. Well, Bill Gates better write a fucking check.
I don't know.
He hasn't worked at Microsoft for a while. I don't know why I said that. Microsoft should pay their fucking taxes.
Oh,
There are multiple people who have been suspected of being Q, more recently Ron and Jim Watkins, but I know that there were previous people who, before they picked it up on 8kun, were the probable holders of the Q account.
They might not have a transfer agent, or computer showing be the transfer agent after the 16th. And the 20th is when they have all the options expire. And if they're in the money, you get cash for it. So...
Right, because they...
That would imply there'll be some sort of trading, right?
No, you. If you place an option bet and you are on the losing side because the stock gets canceled, you still owe the money and you get nothing. That's part of the gamble and contract that you entered into. How do you not understand this?
If
The company's obligations to you ended. Obligations you might have to other people you made a contract with to do some sort of like long-term bet on, those are your obligations to those people, and that's a separate issue.
they put that stipulation in there, because right now there is no trading. So why haven't we seen a document yet explaining where our shares are going to be?
They're
if we
gone!
have shares,
They explained they're gone!
and how they'll trade.
They won't! They're gone! I know I'm just
very,
repeating myself, but what do I do?
Weird. It's very weird indeed.
It's not
More
weird!
money. Houston, gonna jack your tits. Is it true that the null calculation so far has failed to take the $12 billion share buyback into account, or $1.2 billion share buyback? Yes, the nulls that was in the documentation for bankruptcy was just for 2022 through September of last year, and it was like 1.5 billion or something. But 2022 in total, the company lost 2.78 billion, and it did not include any subsequent year or any years prior.
Wait a minute, they lost almost $3 billion in a year? It must have been those damn short sellers and not the fact that Bed Bath & Beyond was an insolvent business.
To that, or anything subsequent after September of last year. So it could be 2.5, 3.
What's the stock at right now? The stock has been canceled. It's at nothing because you can't buy or trade it. It doesn't exist. It is the value of Bed Bath & Beyond stock is not applicable because it doesn't exist.
0.5 billion, maybe more. I don't know. We've not seen any documentation.
This is why he's like, where are our shares at? Where are our shares gonna be? Because they disappeared because they were canceled, and they're still like, well, they must be somewhere. They have to come back. No, they don't. Have you ever bought a stock in your life? How do you think this works?
Confirming just how much there is in those nulls, but it could be a lot. The $1 billion share buyback they did in 2020 could be calculated.
Nulls are net operating losses, and net operating losses can be used in order to offset taxable income from profit in future years. The thing about the nulls is no one can have them at this point because it's the law that if you're going to take a company's net operating losses, it needs to be in the context of you buying the business and keeping it operating. No one has done this. The company was liquidated and parted out, so there is no going concern, meaning there is no one coming in to buy the entirety of Bed Bath & Beyond, or most of it, to continue the business, so no one is eligible to purchase the nulls, the net operating losses. Even if they were capable of buying the net operating losses, they would still have to contend with the amount of debt that is still saddled with the company formerly known as Bed Bath & Beyond, DK Butterfly, as it's currently known. So even if you were to buy the nulls, it would cost you more to buy the nulls than it would that they would save you. So it's multiple layers of incorrect. Meme Stock Lover, who's probably the person that was banned the other day, says, the PP show had all the good DD last night. You won't be able to argue any of that. We're going to watch it later, so I'm going to. RC's most likely still involved. Too much evidence to suggest otherwise. Meme Stock Lover, is your evidence by chance random things in this children's book? Is it because there's butterflies in children's books? Because that's not a good thing to base your financial decisions on, is whether or not a children's book written by a bored billionaire has butterflies in it.
Into that as well. So
Troll or denial? It can be both. It's a shill. Where the fucking shills at, man? My tits are jacked. Procagom, thanks for gifting a sub to Meme Stock Lover. Their net value is now slightly higher. Still in the negative, probably, though. G-Tara says, Meme Stock Lover, it's not too late to see the light and accept Paul as your main man. Seriously, though, Meme Stock Lover, I'm very sorry. I really am. At this point, I make fun of it because it's my job, and, like, you know, it's darkly comedic, but I am really sorry. Like, you did lose money, and that makes me sad for you. All the 6th Street stuff and timing, the fact he's still listed as a co-debtor and creditor. Ooh, that sounds nice, Baha. Gnome Pickle says, I think I know the real pop culture sign that's showing them the stock is going to the sky. Butterfly in the sky, I can feel twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can do anything. Seriously though, no, Ryan Cohen doesn't have anything to do with this. All right. Oh, Dillis Filler says, ah yes, that well-known stock market phenomenon, the butterfly effect. Trevor of House Belmont with 28 months says, what could be more wholesome than reading Rainbow? True.
Whoever's getting the Knowles is getting a lot of money out of this.
No one! No one's getting the Knowles. So that is what it is.
So, that's why they must maintain us as equity holders. Yay!
They didn't, and they told you they weren't going to. Like, months before the stock was canceled.
That's what we're waiting for. Mupulin. Oh, we did that one. Other Mupulin. Can we do a Charity Tuesday for all the poor people suffering in Israel soon, please?
Oh, boy. I'm gonna skip over that segment. MH Dark Beast with a link.
People with lines such as, yes, yes,
oh,
I know.
Doctor Who's Lost 90s cartoon. Yeah, I actually, this showed up in my, recommended. I haven't watched it yet. Meme Stock Lover says, I only potentially lost $4,500 on Bed Bath & Beyond, which isn't a big deal. All my money is in GME and a little bit in SCHD. Let's see. SCHD, Schwab. Oh, okay, it's an ETF. You're probably fine there. GameStop is also going to continue to go down, just for the record. And my God, I wish that I was in any sort of financial position where $4,500 meant nothing to me. That's terrible. That's pretty bad. Anyway, that $4,500 is gone, so I'm glad that it's not a big deal to you.
Preferably for the women and children. That one might...
Woof. Skip past whatever his hot Israel take is.
2. None of the funds made available by this act may be used to finalize, implement, or enforce the rulemaking entitled Regulation-Based Best Execution, Order Competition Rule, and Regulation NMS Minimum Pricing Increments, Access Fees, and Transparency of Better Priced Order. I have to read up on this because I know nothing about this. Section will defund the auction market where buyers enter competitive bids and sellers submit competitive offers at the same time.
I think we had enough of him. We should probably move on to the... Well, maybe before we get to PP, do we want to do the Morantz complaining about the... That's pretty funny. Let's do Morantz complaining about Dan Olson's new documentary. 4,500 doesn't do anything in this day and age. If you believe that, then you haven't been poor. You haven't been poor. Wow. That must be nice. Cult of Cautious Optimism says, is Meme Stock Lover the same guy as the Donald Trump fan from forever ago? Could be. He's got a possible ban evader monitoring thing, so I don't know if you guys can see that, but I can. Might just be a mod view thing, though. First name bunch number says, it's one meme stock, Hannah. What could it possibly cost? $4,500? Only mods can see it, yeah. Yeah, it's someone who's been here before and got banned. They're so zen that they're creating entirely new accounts just to come talk on the stream. They're so confident.
Hi, guys.
Anyway, so Morantz is the GME guy. He is a literal bag holder, as you can see. Like, literally, he is holding GameStop bags. They are decor on his wall. That's pretty funny. So Dan Olson, Folding Ideas, put out a documentary recently on the whole history of the meme stock thing and how bonkers it is, and he is upset. So we're going to take a look. You're still 75% confident in BBBY working out? Okay, you're wrong. I'm 100% confident you're wrong. My number was higher. I win. Woo! What do you want that statement to be? I know you think that. That's why you're here. We know. I'm aware. Morantz is your god? That's funny. That's actually weird. Are you just a troll? Because honestly, most BBBY people hate Morantz because he shit talks Bed Bath. So you might just be a troll that doesn't even give a shit about this, which would be kind of funny. A little sad, but you know. Maps and Mimic says, oh, do you think it's that other meme stock guy that was here a while ago? The one with the admitted gambling addiction? Maybe.
And welcome back to Morantz Rants. Plenty good information, a little bit of motivation, a whole lot of truth, no financial advice.
Whole lot of truth, not financial advice.
Big session. No edits, no cuts. About, well, propaganda. Now, I know there's a guy...
Not an elitist GME person. That's good. GME people don't really have a right to be elitist about anything. Let's take a look at the stock these days, shall we? Still overpriced. Still very overpriced, but it has been dropping, thankfully. It's down to 15. Still got a decent way to go to be reasonable, but what are you gonna do?
Guy out there called...
Why do you believe in GME? I'm so curious. I'm so curious why you think GME is going to be a successful business in the future, especially now with Ryan Cohen as the CEO and his recent email that just said, like, hey, stop spending money, employees.
Called Dan Olson. Never heard of him a day in my life. But apparently...
Oh, okay, well, he's a very successful online documentary filmmaker. So that's cool that you haven't heard of him. That's a weird backhanded, like, defensive thing you're doing by being like, I've never heard of him. Okay, that's irrelevant. You haven't heard of most people on the internet, probably. It's a big place. Just feels like you're trying to be like, he's not important. Did he say he was? Doesn't seem like Dan's the kind of person that would give a shit if anyone knows who he is. That's not his thing. He put out information, and you're upset that it's devastating to your thesis. Because of Ryan Cohen, everything he's involved in turns to gold. Like what? Like what? What specifically did Ryan Cohen do that was good for shareholders? He did Chewy, but he sold Chewy when it wasn't profitable. That company didn't run at a profit. It burned VC cash like crazy. GameStop still isn't profitable. The NFT marketplace has been a disaster and they already closed the wallet. So what has Ryan Cohen ever done that makes you think he is a genius or good at this or a good guy?
Apparently he does documentaries. From Canada, cool dude from what I could see initially when I saw his documentary about GameStop this morning. Everyone was pushing it out there last night. Everyone says, you gotta watch this. This guy's creating FUD. This individual's attacking investors.
Have you considered that it's not FUD and that it's just like, you know, the reality of the situation? I like that Dan Olson also, like, predicted this. Because it's not hard to predict these people, to be entirely honest. Where's the FUD part? That one's funny. If you haven't seen this yet, I'd recommend it, by the way. He's an activist investor that's looking out for retail. He hates shorts. They're a cancer to business. No, he doesn't give a shit about you. He allegedly pump and dumped on you guys. He doesn't care, and he hasn't mentioned it since. Damn, why can't I find the part where it's the FUD part? What if I go to the transcript and I search FUD? Yeah. Give me that transcript. FUD. Here we go. Here's one. DM Trey says, I live in Vegas, and I got to say these people, meme stock lover included, obviously have such mark energy.
Other people do with their money. Are you just here to spread FUD and undermine GME? I'm just an individual investor who likes the stock and the company that is debt-free and cash flow positive, backed by an unprecedented movement from shareholders to direct register their shares.
That's a good one, too.
Will be any amount of doubt on DTCC. FUD is literally anything that casts any amount of doubt on any part of the plan.
I don't believe that GameStop will be worth an unlimited amount of money per share. That doesn't seem possible. Why wouldn't the price peak and then come back down? I should probably set an exit threshold because I'm pretty sure other people are going to be selling too, and I don't want to miss the opportunity. No, but for real, where does the money for these dividends come from?
Direct registration mutated extreme.
So, in cult-like groups, in high-control groups, that's called a thought-stopping mechanism. They don't have to think about counter-arguments or evidence they don't like if they just immediately label it as FUD, and FUD means it's bad, and FUD means it's not true, and FUD means you don't have to think about it. Gnome Pickles says, and then Ryan, he's 7 feet tall, and he knows karate, and one day he's gonna come to take me away from all this, and he's gonna be my real dad.
And he's telling the story in the wrong way. So I watched the video. And Dan, his YouTube
Yeah, wait until I say to ban him. Unless he, uses a slur or something.
channel is called Folding Ideas.
I'm having fun.
I push play, and I let him speak. And he talked for a long time. A lot of word salad. I mean, just throwing up all over the microphone as far as what he felt, how can I put it? Our motives. Why we're invested with GameStop.
For money. And if you say anything else, you're lying. It's the stock market. You can paint in it as much like, no, we're doing this to stop the hedge funds. Man, we're trying to get revenge for 2008. Man. No. You want money. You want a bunch of fucking money. It's fine. Just be honest about it. Cashel Gladio says, Dan might be legit too smart for me. If he's taking the piss out of 50 Shades of Grey, I'm totally on board. But the moment he starts talking about NFTs or the housing market, it goes right over my head. Kind of want to make me educate myself more. That's interesting. I find that he breaks things down in very digestible ways. But, I don't know.
What this movement is. And I think he has me confused with like a ton of other people. I've never sat here and said 10 million a share. I've never gone out here and said these outlandish things that he was.
What outlandish things did he say?
I know that he took Cosmic for his word. He clipped a lot of people. He clipped Tetron Invest, Tobit, myself, so many people. And he used that part of the doc. The documentary is 2.5 hours, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it at 0.15 just because I don't have 2.5 hours to sit there. Obviously, I sat there this morning while
1.5. I know numbers aren't your strong suit since you're in GME, but 1.5, not 0.15. That'd be slower.
I was still making videos and doing some research that I do. But I'm just curious, Dan, the timing of this documentary is impeccable.
The timing? Oh my god. With every conspiracy theory, it's always convenient. It's always convenient timing when you're willing to make any connections, no matter how arbitrary.
Oh, by the way, it's coming out to create this narrative that...
To be clear, Dan has been working on this for months and months and months. I've talked to him a few times throughout that. He was incredibly burnt out. He was just glad to get this thing out the fucking door. This was not a conspiracy. He literally just spent a lot of time working on the video. God damn. Fenekagami said he said a whole bunch of words that were unambiguous, and I'm not forced or able to come up with my own BS, and so it must be word salad.
That we're still not here, that we left or we gave up. And then in addition to that, to say that the ones that are here are psychotic and crazy.
See, meme stock lover, you're doing the same thing. I gotta ask, this is what Morantz started the video with, acting as though other people care about being important? What is that? Is that projection? I don't understand. Like, if your first thing is to be like, you don't matter. Okay, yeah, there's 8 billion people on the planet. How much do any of us really matter? We matter to each other and our personal friends, yeah. But, like, It's a weird thing to bring up. Like, why is that your first thing? Are you comfortable, like, with yourself and who you are? Because I am. It just seems interesting that that's your go-to. It feels like, to you, that would be a devastating thing to hear, so you assume it is for other people. Just interesting.
First, let's go ahead and get this out there. We're not connected in any way, and I'm talking about me being a retail investor, and I don't call myself an ape. I never have.
Literally, it doesn't matter what you call yourself. You're still a part of this same community that's trying to manufacture another squeeze, which isn't going to happen because you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what's even happening with the company.
Maybe I did in the beginning when I was delusional about what could be happening, and I was just like that. I was just like the way you describe people. Certainly in
The fun thing is, unlike a lot of these people, I made money on GameStop.
February, March, and April.
I actually got in, before it peaked, which is what you want to do if you want to make money on the stock market. You buy low and you sell high, as opposed to what these people have done, which is to buy high and then just wait and hope it gets higher someday. Based on nothing.
Well, I was like, what the hell? But somewhere in there, my mind triggered. I said, wait a minute, this is not it. They're pumping and dumping on stocks. And for a lot of us, we're just informed investors. Initially, before anyone ever got involved, I've been investing for, 20 years? Dan, give me a break. The phones didn't exist back then. Twitter wasn't a thing. YouTube wasn't a thing. So the amount of information we can get readily, like instantly, just like when your video dropped, got the info right away. They're like, hey, man, this guy's full of it. I said, okay, well, let me check it out. So your piece...
This guy's spreading FUD.
This is well done. It's well funded. Looks great.
Well funded. Yeah, Dan has a Patreon. It turns out when you're successful, entertaining, and have fans, I don't know if you know this, people will pay you for making things they enjoy. So Dan has a Patreon where he makes $9,000 a month just from Patreon. That's not including ad money or YouTube premium money he gets from people watching his previous videos. So no, the implication here that Dan is in any way funded by your perceived enemies is just wild. And I think it's pretty illustrative of how delusional these people have gotten, where anyone who criticizes the things that they're going into, anyone who points out the holes in their delusions, oh, they must be a paid shill. FUD. They're trying to trick us. No one's trying to trick you. Altered Undying with 50 bits says, Hannah, take a look at the live stream chat in the Discord. Will do, and Akintar, thanks for the raid. Go check out Akintar.
I know how hard it is to
check the
create
Discord real
content.
quick.
I could never do what you do. Honestly, you have a gift.
Couldn't. What Dan does requires talent and intelligence.
But I know of a documentary being made right now by a bigger YouTuber. And when that one drops, I'm curious. Are they...
Oh, the FUD thing? That's lovely. Did you make that? Wait, who made that? Who said that to me to check? Like, is this someone else's emote? Can I use this? I genuinely don't know, but it's good.
actually going to put out the information that you put out and the way that you put it out. Well, at least that guy actually talked to me. You just clipped a couple of pieces out of context, but we'll go over that as well. Dan, I saw your whole thing from start to finish. And
I do have a Patreon, yes. It got linked, but yeah.
for whatever reason, you wanted to paint.
If you want to join the Patreon, do so. We're going to do a patron-only live show this Sunday. This Sunday, the 15th, we're going to do a patron-only live show, so if you want to be a part of that, and also gain access to the previous VODs of the live shows, you can become a patron.
The delusionals at Bed Bath & Beyond tied up.
It's so funny when he says the Bed Bath & Beyond people are delusional. You're on the same track. You're just not quite as far down it.
Line in line with GameStop investors. Not 1 minute of that video was about private equity. Not 1 minute of that video was about the balance sheet.
This is one of the things he points out, is that you're missing the forest for the trees. Meme stock people will literally find like one little thing that they can cherry pick and go, look, if I interpret this specific way within the laws, then oh my god, then that could mean this hypothetically because the rules say it isn't impossible. I call this the Air Bud rule. Nowhere in the rules does it say a dog can't play basketball. A lot of the meme stock theories at this point are, well, it's not illegal, it doesn't say you can't do this in the law, and then they assume it will happen. It's really interesting how desperate they are for any sort of, like, legitimacy. Fenekagami says, or it's a confession of their own motives. They literally don't do anything without being paid for it. Yeah, that is interesting.
And the improved...
Think you stared meme stock guy? Probably. I imagine he's stressed out based on all the bad decisions he's made. And, like, the internet mocking meme stocks, that's probably not good for your mental health.
Fundamentals of GameStop, the company. It was all about stock price. It was all about MOAS and the delusion of. Your 2.5-hour video could have been about 20 minutes. Honest.
It really couldn't have.
But you made it this production piece that it was. You probably thought you were pretty funny when you did it.
I mean, it was funny.
But for me personally, it missed.
Yeah, you're one of the people he's talking about, of course. Obviously you didn't like it. That'd be like someone making a documentary about, I don't know, O.J. Simpson that didn't paint him in a good light, and he was like, I didn't like that. Like, no shit. Like, it makes you look bad. Of course you didn't like it.
It missed me totally. But we'll go over it. But of course, this is GameStop propaganda. And by your...
I don't even know if he, like... I'm on the fence. Did he actually sit through the whole thing, or did he watch like 20 minutes and he's like, this is FUD, and turned it off?
Or words in your definition alone. So let's go ahead and look at what propaganda is. And I'm going to use your words, not mine, and you tell me if I got this correct.
Oh, this is an old video of Dan's that he uses, which is really interesting because he thinks he's trying to make... I don't know if he doesn't understand what Dan is saying in this older video, but the argument he makes here is weird. So let's watch it and then we'll talk about it.
Tell me if I got this correct.
Is, however, not a triumph of filmmaking. It is a triumph of budget. None of the ideas or techniques were new. It is simply that no one had previously thrown enough money and resources at propaganda on this scale before. We'll come back to this and develop it in more detail, but I want to be upfront with the fact that you should be highly suspicious of any messaging surrounding propaganda. Okay? So, vocabulary groundwork. We're going to make a distinction about what we mean when we say propaganda. Broadly speaking, propaganda is just any goal-driven ideological message, and a lot of stuff incidentally falls under that umbrella. For example, any official message from an activist community meets the literal definition. Signs encouraging you to, like, pick up after your dog. So the first thing that we need to make note of is the textural difference between the literal definition of propaganda and how people actually use the word. Contextually, propaganda is used derisively. It's not merely used to describe the literal characteristics of some text or another, but carries with it a value judgment, with the implicit understanding that propaganda is bad. Mimetically, propaganda represents not just rhetoric, but some degree of dishonesty. Not an attempt to persuade, but to deceive. Not an attempt to inform, but to inflame. And even by this metric, there's still plenty that qualifies as propaganda, from white nationalists spreading false statistics about crime, to corporations trying to paper over the damage they do, to vloggers being paid to pretend to like a video game. So
I ask, who pays you?
His patrons and YouTube, you dipshit. Like, he thinks he owned Dan so hard there. That was a video Dan did upon, about Triumph of the Will, which is the famous Nazi propaganda movie by Leni Riefenstahl. There's a lot of videos about that. This is a particularly good one. Kyle Kalgren also did a video on it that's quite good. But anyway, yes, Dan was talking about propaganda here and defined propaganda, and then Morantz was just like, see? See what? He's not being paid by anyone to do this. He wasn't paid to do this. It's so interesting, because, like, again, I don't know Dan, like, personally, but I talked to him a little. We've had a few exchanges. It's weird when I've heard someone talk about them working on a project and then hear someone completely unrelated to the situation be like, he's a paid shill. He's working for, like, he's got to be working for, I don't know, Citadel, hedge funds. No, Dan's just, again, I don't really know him personally, but Dan just seems like kind of a chill Canadian dude who finds weird internet things interesting and does videos about them. He wasn't paid to shill? You guys are the shills. Shilling, as Dan pointed out in his video, is the act of, you know, telling people to buy something. That's what you do. You stand to gain from people buying the stocks you're in, and your whole channel is telling people to buy GameStop. You're a shill. That's the definition of a shill.
Dan Olson, because by your definition, propaganda, I mean, someone's backing it, right?
No, again, you see what I mean about, like, the comprehension? At no point was there a connection made that says he makes propaganda. He was describing propaganda, but that's not what he did. I mean, like he was saying, there's a broad generalization of propaganda. Any film or documentary you make about any message is theoretically propaganda. For instance, let me pull some documentaries from my shelf up here. So these are all from my documentary collection, so let's take a look real quick. All of these are arguably propaganda in some way. Maybe not this one. This is Grey Gardens. That one's just interesting. By the way, Grey Gardens is fantastic. And the Beals of Grey Gardens, that also comes on this Criterion, also great. I probably wouldn't be doing what I do today if it isn't for Grey Gardens, so that's nice. Anyway, For All Mankind. This is a documentary about the moon landing. This is about the moon landing, and it has tons of wonderful footage and information about it. Arguably propaganda, because it does have a thematic message despite being a documentary. That doesn't make it incorrect. That doesn't mean it's lying. But any piece of media in any form, whether it be a book or a TV show or a movie, if you're doing so with, like, emotional intent to try and convince someone of something, if you're trying to relay a worldview or ideology to someone and convince them through it emotionally, that's propaganda. Atomic Cafe, great documentary. No narration really in this. All it does is edit together archival footage from the early atomic era, not even just the early. It kind of goes from the early atomic era through to, like, the late 60s or so. It's really interesting, and through its use of this archival footage, it does tell a story. Arguably propaganda. This one, Blackfish. Great documentary, which I'm sure most of you, if not many of you, have seen, about the horrific treatment of orcas by SeaWorld. A movie that was so convincing, it actually got SeaWorld to end their orca breeding program. This is propaganda. That doesn't make it bad. That doesn't make it untrue. But it's a film that was made with the intention of showing people how terrible the treatment of these animals was. It was successful. Again, not untrue, but it emotionally sways people. And then, you know, Behind the Curve, all these. I have tons of these fucking things. The point is, everything with a message that is trying to sway you emotionally is arguably broadly propaganda, but it's not propaganda with a capital P, okay? And Dan's isn't propaganda in the way you are describing. It wasn't paid for by some outside force in order to, you know, spread FUD or whatever. Literally, he's a documentary filmmaker who saw an interesting phenomena on the internet, as he does, and made a video about it. It's what he's been doing for years. It isn't new. You're not the first person he's covered. He covered flat earthers. He's covered the metaverse. He's covered crypto bros. You're just another in a long line of internet weird cult communities that he's looked at. Side note, Watermelon Woman. Good movie. It's in my documentary section, even though it's not technically, well, just watch it. Watch the Watermelon Woman. It's good. Alrighty, I think I missed something. Fenekagami says, no, propaganda doesn't have to be bought by anybody. Even the way it's used doesn't mean that. It just means that there's a dishonesty in the work, in that it's heavily biased and trying to manipulate you. It doesn't even have to be dishonest. Certainly it shows a subjective perspective on an issue, though. I would agree with that. But I think the word dishonesty is a little... I think that's reductive to the point of being inaccurate. But I understand what you're saying.
For me personally, I mean, I'm out here live right now on a Sunday morning before I go to work at 11:30.
Cool.
That's not you. I believe.
What? Fucking what? Dan, again. I'm not trying to be weird about saying nice things about Dan. He seems like he works really fucking hard. The idea that he's like just some like paid shill, you know, kicking it at a resort when he's not making videos is so funny. Hydrate.
Believe your nickname was Too Depressed to Work. That was your old nickname, I'm being told. I don't know much about you, other than the fact that you've cleaned up, hopefully, and you're not too depressed to work, but not, you're...
He's not. He does this for a living. He makes $9,000 a month on Patreon, and I know he also hires other people, like he has researchers and stuff I think he pays, but like, you know... This is his job, is making documentaries. It's just weird that you're going in on, I don't know if you notice, just ad hominem attacks. He's just trying to, like, make it sound like Dan is, like, pathetic or something, which is weird, because he's not. He's just, like, a competent internet commentator, documentary maker. But Morantz has so few arguments, all he can do is be like, you're a loser. I heard one time you had depressed in the name of your username, so now I'm gonna make fun of that. Like, what are we doing? Flower Sheeps, thanks for gifting a sub to the Mightiest Quinn. I was gonna say, because Mightiest Quinn was like ads. If you don't want to see ads, you can always become a subscriber.
You're coming out. But let's go ahead and take your video, your
Oh no, I'm a shill.
propaganda, by your definition. And I hope everyone understood your definition there. But this is where you take me out of context. And so, of course, I'm going to come out and let you know what it is.
This is just supply and demand.
All I have to do is buy one stock, GameStop, feel good about it, and watch the world crumble.
A thing that's kind of beautiful about a short...
See, so you were talking about a short squeeze at this part of the video.
Star Trek is leftist propaganda. It certainly pushes the messages of like, hey, a society where everyone's equal and unjust hierarchies are done away with and people are treated fairly and money isn't a thing and everyone's provided for. Yeah.
And you were saying...
But again, when we're using that definition of propaganda, it's so broad that everything is propaganda. Like, genuinely, if you're to the point where you're describing that as propaganda, every TV show and movie ever made is propaganda at that point. And, like, that is something to point out. Like, wow, our messaging and our media is very, very emotionally charged and is always trying to convince us of things one way or another, whether it's to buy something or think a certain way or follow a certain, you know, politician or something. But, like, you know, when you say propaganda, you aren't generally thinking of, like, a McDonald's ad. You're probably thinking of, you know, Triumph of the Will, oh god, what's the other one? Birth of a Nation, you know. any sort of propaganda, like 1950s Americana propaganda movies, any film that's really heavily jingoistic military rah-rah.
You know, MOAS is going to happen, and then you were using Cosmic Lightning Warriors quote as in to say 10 million a share, infinite risk, and that's what he's describing. He's not saying that he's going to get 10 million like you would think he is. It's more like a joke,
He literally in the documentary pointed out that you and other meme stock people will make claims like that and then hide behind like 20 layers of irony to protect yourself because it's obviously a delusional belief, but you hide behind hyperbole because you're cowards. Flower Sheeps, thanks for gifting a sub to the Mannequin.
a satire. He's just saying infinite risk. That's exactly what it is. That's theoretically what could happen to a short seller. But you take it way out of context and to say, I said, buy one thing and watch the world crumble, as if I'm happy to see it happen. But if you look at the video you took that clip from, that's from Connect the Dots Part 24. Just so happens to be the Michael Jordan story.
Oh yeah, Morantz is delusional and think that Michael Jordan is broke. You know, Michael Jordan, one of, if not the most successful athlete turned promoter in the history of the world. You know, the guy that gets money for every pair of Air Jordans ever sold. He thinks that guy's broke because, I don't know, GameStop something? Fenekigami says, dishonest was a bit loaded, so I should have used one-sided. That's closer. I was leaning into Dan's point that one should always be a bit suspicious about the messaging and information and propaganda as it's trying to manipulate at least a bit, even if that manipulation is for good, like Blackfish. I actually have another example of something like that. You're probably aware of the documentary Super Size Me, Morgan Spurlock created back in the early 2000s. Gitara, thanks for gifting a sub. Well, the overall message of the movie that you should make healthy choices and, you know, not be eating fast food constantly and, you know, eating tons of high calorie density foods that are sugary and non-nutritious isn't good for you. The documentary is misleading and made a lot of weird claims that have not been able to be replicated. So, you know, even if you can kind of generally agree with the sentiment of something, oh yeah, it's completely fair to look at things and be like, there are problems, here are inaccuracies, you know? For me, at least, I think that the best way to spread information is through facts. I wouldn't want to ever intentionally spread misinformation, even if I thought it was for a good purpose. And I don't usually try to do slippery slope arguments, because I think they're often lazy. But for me personally, that's my Batman gun moment. Like, the second that I find myself making something up even to make a point that I think is good, oh boy, that's when I gotta retire and find myself a Hannah Reloaded Beyond.
So what I was saying was, when I buy one stock and I watch the world crumble, I'm not talking about the actual world. I'm talking about Michael Jordan's world, the billionaire world of owning a sports team, how he leveraged his position.
Yeah, that's all still wrong and delusional. Correct.
Against GameStop. Now, this is all known, but you took it out of context just to, I guess, take that part of the video that you needed. But we'll go to another part of this clip that you take as well, way out of bounds. You start putting together PPCs, Kais Malej, the rest of the crew that I have decimated. I went ahead and destroyed these guys for their narrative that Bed Bath & Beyond and GameStop were together. But this clip was well before PPCs even made a damn YouTube channel. This clip is actually after the fact that I already talked to Kais Malej and told him it's never going to happen, Bed Bath & Beyond and GameStop, because I came to the conclusion that if anything were going to happen, GameStop would do it themselves. But there's the Teddy clip, and this is from December. And of course, this is what you do.
So, as I do it here and I see it, guys, these guys are expanding their catalog, but without throwing up the flare. Hey, we're getting bigger. So now what can happen for GameStop? GameStop can absorb Teddy at any time, and in verse, they already have it all set out. The map is there. He's been building it in secret behind everyone else. and now you have a partnership.
So let's take a moment to marinate on this, to consider just how far we've really come. We've gone from vague...
So nowhere in there did I say it was Bed Bath & Beyond. I said it was...
I just said it was the fictional company Teddy, based off of Ryan Cohen's children's books that I think are sending me secret messages. That makes more sense, right? They focus in on the weirdest things when they get called out as if it matters. I've said this before, they're missing the forest for the trees. The obvious big picture is devastating, so they have to look in on little things, you know? It's like someone who's convinced wholeheartedly that there are no fish in the ocean, and then you're like, no, look at all these fish in the ocean, and then they take a single glass and dunk it in the water and go, no, look at this glass I just got from the ocean, there are no fish in it, there's no fish in the ocean. They very selectively cherry pick things to discuss, because if they actually discussed the broader issue at hand and didn't pivot to these very specific, like, talking points and these specific pedantic things they want to discuss, it's obvious how ridiculous they're being.
Was Teddy and GameStop merging together. That was a theory back in 2022. Your video is 10 months later after we've already put out how many more pieces of data and facts, statistics, everything to support the cause that...
Ooh, wow, data, facts, and statistics? Wow.
We know what's happening. We knew what was going bankrupt. We knew why it was going bankrupt, and nobody thought that there was a merger coming. Certainly not with Bed Bath & Beyond. Got that off the table over a year ago, almost a year and a half ago. But your documentary is well-timed today, right now. Then you do this shit. This is the part that really upset me to a point, because if people understand all the words you put together, I'll explain it.
Narrative that justifies its conclusions. In that regard, apes are, in fact, a reflection of the system. Really, the only major difference is that the things they are gesturing towards are not merely wishful thinking based.
Before you even get to this part, you keep calling retail investors apes. That is...
Yes, people on Superstunk, most of you call yourselves apes. I don't care what you call yourself, Morantz. Everything isn't about you. The community at large calls themselves apes. It's like when sovereign citizens say, I'm not a sovereign citizen. Look, I don't care what you personally identify as. That is what the community at large is called by people who commentate upon it, and most people in the group accept it in this case. So, like, this is a weird hill to die on.
It's not that.
And by the way, Dan, this video is not about retail investors. This video is not about all retail investors. In fact, Dan in the video goes on to explain, like, it's not that hard to get into investing. Like, you can do it. He literally is talking about meme stock people. People who are into AMC, GME, BBBYQ, Party City, Sears. I'm sure there's more.
AMC investors? Yes, I get it all. But there's a lot of us out here who don't even go onto Reddit. We don't even post on Wall Street Bets or Superstock, any of it. None.
Okay, most of you do. So,
none of it.
It's also where the community comes from. So,
we just...
Party City is a meme stock, yes. And they're doing very badly.
Follow a stock. We understand the fundamentals. We know what Ryan Cohen's doing. And we shop at Game...
No, you don't. You do not.
GameStop because we like the company. But this whole picture you painted, I get it. I really do. This is propaganda.
No, it's not. Again, not in the way you're saying. Dan has no perverse incentive here where he's being paid by a shadowy organization or any company to make this. This is not a sponsored video. The only people who pay Dan are his patrons, who pay him for whatever he's making. And secondly, for people who watch the video, ad money, which isn't as much as the patron, I would guess. But he does get millions of views, so it's probably not too bad.
Based on suggestive data, but entirely confabulated nonsense. Nothing in ape psychology is new. Addiction to gambling, the pressure of social control, we are all vulnerable to these in some degree, but when you get deep into these places, it takes on whole new forms. Apes are, as a result of their conflict with reality, particularly vulnerable to being further targeted by confidence men and other grifters. Some of them grift the apes for low-stake fame and prestige, some to wash their pet theories and gain support for their political policies, and some for plain old hard cash.
Perfect.
It can be...
Yeah. And, you know, I'm actually going to let this part play. This is a part where you find out I'm not just, like, cookie cutter. This is all
difficult to have empathy for apes because, frankly, a lot of them suck. They are conspiratorially minded and thus prone to all sorts of terrible beliefs, many of which dovetail into express anti-Semitism, making them ripe for recruitment into even...
That right there.
Morantz, if you're not anti-Semitic, great. I've seen a decent bit in the PP community, so shut the fuck up. If you're gonna be like, oh, they're just accusing anyone of anti-Semitism. No. The PP community is full of it.
So if people can read between these racial undertones...
Fucking what?!
Where is it that you get to drag out your idea that anyone has any racial stance on this, you know?
Literally, the PP people do. They will constantly talk about the, quote, Jewish connection, end quote. They are obsessed with it in the fact that Ryan Cohen and Carl Icahn are Jewish. It's really weird and really creepy and anti-Semitic and weird. The video isn't all about you, Morantz.
I've thought about this. I could have done an edited
transphobia, too.
Piece. I could have gone out there and broke down the whole 2.5 hours. Therefore,
do it, pussy. Sorry, I don't really like to say that. Sorry.
My video.
Do it. Seriously, you're a coward. Do it. Do the whole video. Answer for your crimes.
Be 4 hours, and you know what? I'm petty enough to do it, but nah. You don't get my energy. You don't get my time. You don't know what's happening here. It's clear.
Dan literally spent, like, so much time researching and watching all your fucking videos and the PP people, and it's so funny you're acting as though he didn't.
You're reporting on the past. Your propaganda piece is there to diffuse and or to decimate anyone's, I guess, curiosity in what GameStop is and more.
No one at this point is curious. Everyone knows the weirdo shit you guys are into. You've been on the front page of Reddit so many times, and those are the only people who give a shit. Outside of Reddit and Twitter, no one knows you exist. No one cares about your weird cult. I'm a weirdo because I cover it. Literally, I am weird for doing this, and I am self-aware, but I am obsessed with the level of delusion that accumulates in groups online. It is just astounding. Paps and Mimics says, I literally took screenshots and shared them here of the PP chat calling you a, quote, Jew while you were on their show. Oh, yeah. There's anti-Semites and shit.
Where it's going and what it's been through. But you told the story from one side. You told the story of what you feel.
You only told the story from the perspective of reality and an unbiased observer. That's unfair. You should tell the story from our delusional in-group perspective, colored by all of our weird conspiratorial myth-making.
Is really happening and or happened. But unfortunately, that's not what did happen. You see, this channel's been here for almost 3 years now. Over 2,000 videos, and you would say, well...
Wow, and GameStop's just gone down. It's at, like, its 52-week low, I think, currently. So you're nailing it.
He's just chasing an idea. I've broken down the balance sheet. I've broken down you as far as how you approach this. You say we're gamblers, and or we want wife-changing money, yet this channel promotes family first, get your ass back to work, and don't over-leverage yourself. Only buy what you can afford, if at all. This is the most grounded place you're ever
so fucking disingenuous.
Gonna find, but yet you took clips out of context and you put them out there for yourself. Touche. You know, folding ideas. Fold this one up and put it away. We're GameStop. Can't stop, won't stop, GameStop. And when I say I'll see you around, millionaires, because I have a dream.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh God, he quoted Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream of BBBY holder children and GME holder children, hand in hand.
Much bigger than yours, obviously.
One of your favorite holiday movies is getting a 4K release. Let's see. Oh shit! No kidding! Oh yeah, I like that movie. The Richard Donner Santa Claus. That's great. I like that one. Is that only coming out in... What region is this? I have this on Blu-ray. Yeah, I love John Lithgow in this. Anyway.
And the only way that something can actually happen is you got to dream it and think it up first. So that's what I did. And it's been coming true for a long time.
What's coming? What is come true?
Months from now, I want to know when you make a new propaganda piece. Because you're going to have to. This one's not going to stand up well against time. Because it's not. GameStop fundamental.
Let's see. In the time since, in like the week or so since the documentary came out, Bed Bath & Beyond stock got canceled. Let's see. GME is at its 52-week low. Ryan Cohen became the new CEO of GameStop, and his first order of business was to send a passive-aggressive, bitchy email to all of the overworked, underpaid employees. Like, I don't know what to tell you, Morantz. This is embarrassing, and I know a thing or two about being embarrassing on the internet. Let me tell you, this is sad. This is sad to watch.
Tunnels are undefeated. And when you dig into the bigger story, not the short squeeze story, not the whole King Griffin story, I'm talking about the private equity story. If you don't understand, I have a whole series. You've already watched them because you clipped Connect the Dots Part 24.
Wait a minute. He watched your videos already and came to different conclusions and decided you were wrong? Oh my god, it must mean he's a paid shill. It can't be that you're wrong or that you just have different views on it. It must be that he's a paid shill because everyone not on your side is your enemy.
You tell me why you didn't touch on the narrative of private equity, manufacturing and manipulating these outcomes today. Period. Every company that's gone bankrupt and or diluting floats and reverse stock splits and stealing money from the public. Where's that video? I've been asking America for the real deep dig, the deep dive, the due diligence, whatever they want to call it. Tell me, where's the doc about private equity? If anyone wants to take part on this, but chances are there's no money backing it, but there's money backing you. I get it, Dan. I really do.
Again, yes, his fans give him money.
There's another documentary coming out real soon, guys. I can't give you all the details, but I will
Oh my god, are you going to make a terrible documentary? Please. Please do this.
tell you.
Inject it into my eyes.
I took part in another one, a bigger one, a YouTuber with 3 times as many followers as this guy. And I'll tell you something. Maybe that information and that story will be done the right way. But this
I'm excited for that cringe, whatever it is.
This is just a self-gloss moment for him. No interviews, just a whole bunch of clips he did himself. No one else, no debating words here. It's one side of the story. And
Morantz, he's under no obligation to do a direct interview with you. He's literally looking at the things you have done and analyzed them and is talking about them.
It's actually wrong. Propaganda. For all you GameStop investors, just know. Well-timed, well-edited, well-funded. What else do you expect?
I feel like you didn't address any of the things from the documentary. You just made fun of Dan for stupid reasons that made you look like a petty asshole. And then accused him of being paid? That's all you've done. That's pathetic. Ineffable Effort says being paid for something you made doesn't mean you were paid to make it. And Pterodona says he's so vain, he thought that doc was about him.
I expect this. Always. Hey guys, it's gonna get worse. But as I've always said, you will survive 100% of your worst days.
That's objectively untrue. A lot of people's worst days are being murdered. What are you talking about?
GameStop.
Sometimes, and people just die. What?
Stop. Won't stop. GameStop. I'm gonna see you around, millionaires. Enjoy your Sunday. I'm gonna take my ass back to work. Peace.
Well, that was a cope. All right, let's Oh boy. Before we get to PP, which we are getting to, although, to be clear, PP's not on this episode. He took some time off. You know what? Fuck it. No, let's just go to PP. Let's do it. It's time for the PP show. PP had the night off, so everyone else hosted. ABC, I think, was the main host. Which is interesting, because normally I think PP takes up a lot of the air in the room, you know? But without him, the others can shine, which is pretty interesting. So, real quick, I'm going to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Behave. Enjoy the chair. Hydrate. Will do. Alright, let's get into Denial Central.
PP's taking a night off, so it's ABC here in the chair. I've got control of the dildo slap tonight. I've never been so excited in my life, man. Michael, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Is my audio working? I wasn't expecting to be in here. I didn't know my...
That's all right. I guess I didn't have your screen tilted. I was going to bring on your intro, but you're already here, my man.
There we
how
go.
You doing?
I'm doing great. Excited. Way excited.
You're a little bit pixelated. I don't know if you want to rejoin or something, but your video looks a little bit off, brother.
Okay. Here, hold on a sec. I'll be back. Go ahead and pull in Travis while I figure it out.
Okay. Let's bring in Travis.
The blue ones taste the best.
Yeah, green too. Green too. So we're gonna have Jake and Sal coming on a little bit later, but I want anything new you want to bring up, Travis, before we get these boys on. I think they've got some stuff prepared. Sal also prepared a nice little video, but I'm gonna wait till he shows up backstage before we play it. He just put in a nice little video that I think we should all watch. But yeah, anything you come across? I saw a docket drop earlier.
Yeah, I did see a docket drop. It's just about the hearing that's coming up on October 28th. I do have some things I want to discuss, but I can't spoil Jake's thing because we actually worked on it. I'm assuming what he's going to be talking about is what me and him were working on late this afternoon. We were DMing back and forth on Twitter, going over quite a few different...
At this point, how much time a day are these people taking, quote-unquote, researching a stock that doesn't exist anymore, that they're pretending still exists? Like, how many man-hours are going into this facade? Like, this is kind of surreal to think about how much time that all of these people are collectively putting into something that literally doesn't exist anymore. Kind of weird.
Different things on Form 25 and Form 15, so I'll let him go over that because he can articulate it in a way that I cannot. I'm good at diving in and getting the information, but the way he articulates it is just, he has finesse where I'm clumsy.
Yeah, he's a well-spoken. He's very fluid, Well-spoken, good-looking guy with the beautiful
great
hair.
Great hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there were a few other things that dropped.
I messaged you, Phoenix Leftist. I don't know if you're still here, but I messaged you back. Yes, you can share your crowdfunding thing.
Couple things with Pulte tweeting on a conversation. PP and I were having a conversation with a certain individual on Twitter. If anybody was following that, y'all kind of saw how it goes, and it ended up being very constructive.
You're
and
banned from the
this
PP chat. Yeah, I'm banned from the PP chat too. I'm also banned from the PP show, which is a shame.
Individual called out.
At this point, even if I was invited, though, I think going on would be a fucking nightmare. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there'd be some funny moments, but especially now in their, like, agitated state where, like, they're on edge because, like, even they're kind of like, underneath the cope. So I'm pretty sure that would be terrible, and I would get called a lot of mean names that have nothing to do with the stock.
Pulte on Twitter, and he actually makes 2 comments on it, talking about how
that was after the virulent transphobia.
He just, he loves the show and enjoys it, and then all of a sudden my notifications went off. They went bizarre. It was insane how many notifications I've had in the last few hours, people commenting and liking. So, getting a lot of traffic there. And along with that, he also tweeted M&A, and I actually have it up to go ahead and share real quick.
Yeah, pull that up. I'm going to interrupt. I forgot to do our wonderful disclaimer like PP does.
Pulte, the guy that they're obsessed with, who's the alleged millionaire, he posted a tweet that was literally just M&A, which in business stands for mergers and acquisitions, but he literally only M&A. He's still trying to bait these people.
So,
yeah, let's do that.
I am not a professional in...
Oh shit, good for Star Trek Prodigy. Good.
Any capacity. We are here tonight just to simply share ideas, collaborate, discuss.
Them banning you was just banning sunshine from their dark, dark cave. Well, they're all vampires, so.
Our favorite stock, Bed Bath & Beyond. None of the guests that are here are professionals. So if you are looking for financial advice, we ask you to seek the appropriate measures necessary. You won't find any here. Just like PP says, it's like in the goddamn bar, hanging out, having a couple beers and talking the stock. So,
except it's not, because this is a regular show you do with a name and branding that's based entirely around one single stock that you constantly hype up and you solicit donations every time. So it's not exactly the same as being in a bar, is it?
Again, no financial advice here. We're just collectively getting together and shooting the shit about a stock we love.
Yeah, this is our Moe's from The Simpsons. We're just here, hanging out, talking, shooting stuff. What is it on?
I'm familiar with the concept of a bar. You already made that joke.
A Family Guy. What's the name of it? The Drunken Clam. This is our Drunken Clam.
That's the same reference, just with a different cartoon.
So.
Yeah. I've got Jake and Salvatore backstage, but why don't we bring up what you got there, my man? I'll throw it up on screen.
And so Pulte tweeted this afternoon. Says M&A. That's it. Nothing else. Who knows what this means?
Are you going to talk about the fact that he also tweeted things that showed that he doesn't think that Bed Bath & Beyond is coming back at all? Because he tweeted that right before this, and then I assume he saw that you guys were upset that he wasn't, playing into your delusions. So then he tweeted this, and all of a sudden, you guys started ignoring the previous tweet. Convenient. Let's actually look at his Twitter. Pulte Twitter. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum, bum. Let's see how long ago it was. I know he did the M&A thing. It was slightly before the M&A tweet. In the last couple days, at least. Control F. M. Was it M ampersand A? Yep. M ampersand. Oh, it's still not on the page. Weird. Did he just tweet a lot the past couple days or something? Or did he delete that tweet? God, he is just insufferable. Oh, are they finally actually going to change the Cybertruck because they know it's not reasonable to have a stainless steel vehicle? That'd be kind of funny. Oh, here it is. Platinum Sparkles, who is a GME person who doesn't like BBBY people, says, "Did you ask Polte about BBBYQ and his RC and his/RC's involvement? I've been wondering why he'd invite you there knowing that the shares are being cancelled, so that's a good question." Polte says, "I don't know if they'll be cancelled or if they are truly cancelled. As I've said, I'm not an investor in it, but I do like the movement and the PP show. We need to get along, not the opposite, but that's just one man's opinion." So again, he's clearly stating he doesn't have any money in Bed Bath & Beyond, and it may be canceled. It is canceled. So Platinum Sparkles goes on to say, "Okay, so involvement is basically liking the YouTube channel? Thanks, Polte, for the response. I don't know if you knew, but people have been saying you've been involved in BBBYQ bankruptcy somehow. Shares were canceled with Form 15 on September 29th. Polte says, "I like the people in the YouTube channel, and I think they're sick of market manipulation, corruption, which seems to be growing by the day, and many other things, like many care about in the GME and AMC community." So, like, he's literally saying, hey, I don't have any special information, even though he pretends to. He wants to use these people for his own ends. Kind of a Donald Trump thing.
Is it, mushrooms and asparagus? I don't know.
Probably.
In my line of work, M&As are huge.
Polte is a second-generation Nepo baby who is, from what I can tell, the least popular member of his family. So he's really upset and wants himself to be in charge of his family's company. But he's one of 25 grandchildren, and he's not in the company at all. But he wants to pretend he's important, and he wants to get people online to do a campaign to make him the brand new CEO of the Polte Group. Because again, he's another delusional weirdo. In this case, though, he just wants to use the Bed Bath & Beyond cultists and bring them over to his side so that they bother people in the Polte Group to make him CEO. Now, does that make sense? Of course not. But, like, he's delusional. Polte is also a pretty delusional person, I think, so it is what it is. Not a smart plan, but it is an evil plan.
Usually for mergers and acquisitions. Is this Bobby related? Who knows? Could be Polte Group related. We don't know. I mean, he's very candid, and it does bring traffic, especially from our community, because we love to see stuff like this. But you know, he's made it known that he doesn't hold a position in Bed Bath & Beyond. But could this be related? Who knows? But it's fun tinfoil, and I thought it was definitely worth sharing. But yeah, fun stuff today.
Yeah, I mean, interpret it however you want, right? M&A, mushrooms and asparagus, merger and acquisition. Who the hell knows? But
I'm going to interpret it as a pathetic second-generation Nepo baby fail son trying desperately to garner the attention of delusional idiots on the internet because his life is so empty he can do nothing but try and garner a cult-like group of people in order to try and force him comically into a place and position of power that he has no right to hold. I'm out of breath.
You know, Polte's been on the show before. He's a big part of this community, and he's explicitly said, you know, he's not involved in Bed Bath & Beyond in any capacity. I think what he really loves is the community. I think he really loves the PP show and what we're trying to do, and share the mission and the vision of, you know, naked short selling and a little bit more transparency in the market is needed for retail investors. So collectively, I think he's part of this community because he too has witnessed his own company be attacked. He's good friends with RC, and RC's being attacked, and he certainly knows of Elon, and they've been on the...
He did recruit Kais. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Kais is like fully on the Pulte home group train now. He talks about it a ton. It's like his main thing now. Because he can't buy or sell Bed Bath & Beyond anymore. The stock doesn't exist. So he's been just focusing on the Pulte thing.
Short attack. So again, I think it's really more about the mission and the vision of what's going on in the marketplace. And we welcome him with open arms. You know, like, guy's a good guy. Invite us down to...
He's not a good guy, at least not in my opinion.
His office. We got to have some good times, cheeseburgers, you know, and...
Look, I like cheeseburgers too. I'm probably going to make one tonight. Patty melt. I like a good patty melt over a burger. Don't know why. I like the crispiness of the bread. Anyway, I don't know if you know this. Someone can give you... I can shorten this. Nice and good are two different things. Someone can be very nice and be very bad. Someone can be very mean, but be very good. Does that make sense? These are different axes on some sort of hypothetical personality thing. Like, you can be very kind and personable, and also be a fucking monster in your actions and intentions. In fact, usually, shitty people will ingratiate themselves to you by acting kind. That's literally how it works, is they present themselves as a very kind, personable individual that's interested in you and the things you're interested in, and that draws you in, because people like when people pay attention to them. Like, this is like basic how to make friends and influence people shit. Like, this is the first thing they tell you is ask people about themselves, which they'll get into here in a second. One of them's gonna say, oh yeah, he was so interested and asked me all about myself. Yes, that's like a basic tactic in ingratiating yourself with people, is to ask them about themselves, because people like to be asked about themselves, usually. Of course, not everyone, but it's a good general rule with this sort of thing. I just still can't believe how gullible they are, if I'm being honest. It's really sad.
You yourself, Travis, were able to hop on a private plane with them, and I'm sure that was just a wild ride in itself.
It was endearing more than anything. And when I say this, I want to make sure that I say it properly. I mean, he is just a very, very genuine person. He asked...
He sounds to me like one of the slimiest double-talking people I've ever met based on every piece of footage that I've seen of him. So it is interesting hearing someone express the opposite.
Me about my background, a little bit about my life story. He was really trying to get to know me early on and when we were on the private jet. And he just showed me that he's truly just a very, very genuine person who really likes the show. And, you know, he was trying to get to know us. He was trying to get to know all three of us on the plane. And it was nice to get to sit down and talk to him, pick his brain. And you know, we talked a lot about the show, about where he would like to see the show go, and he gave us some ideas, which I think we've shared with everybody who comes on a little bit. If not, I wouldn't mind sharing with the rest of y'all about, like, you know, kind of our next steps, and how do we progress from here. And so he made us think a little bit, and also try to get some ideas from us about what we saw for the future of it. And it was really nice conversation for, you know, the 2 hours that we got to spend with him. I did want to point out one other thing before I forget, and before we bring on Jake and Salvatore. It's not big, it's not Bed Bath & Beyond related, it's not GME related, IEP, AMC, anything like that, but it might have something to do with naked short selling, and that is Sears Canada, that's traded...
Reminder that naked short selling is illegal and has been for a while. Again, that's not to say illegal things never happen. Of course they do. But these guys act as though it is rampant, like it was before it was illegal. It's not. People get caught doing it sometimes and they go to jail, or at least pay a fine. Like, it is not something that is happening at a scale that it's affecting any stock, because if it was, it would get noticed and caught. Like, even if you were doing a scheme or you were naked short selling, you wouldn't want to do it in massive volume because that would be more detectable. Because people would be like, holy shit, look at this huge transaction. Look at these huge trades. But that's not what's happening. So you're wrong?
OTC, which is SRSCP, I think, is the ticker, ran 198 million% today from 0.00001 pennies to $1.99 on a...
This is hilarious. So what happened here, I'm sorry, I'm trying to pause less. I know someone told me a while back, like, you pause every 2 seconds. Trying to keep it reasonable, at least for me. So what happened is Sears Canada is a separate company from Sears. Sears Canada is a separate company, but it also doesn't really exist anymore. I think they have a few assets, but like they're not really a big functioning company. It's why the stock doesn't really trade publicly. The stock trades in, I believe, OTC expert markets, which you need a license to buy. So what he just said here, where he's like, oh my god, the stock price went up some million something %. It went from 0.000 cents to $1.99. Do you know why it went up to $1.99, chat? Do you know what volume is in a stock? The reason it went up to $1.99 is because someone bought one share for $2. You see, when a stock isn't being traded, the price can move easily. The price that you see when you're buying a stock on an app or something is an aggregate of the sales taking place, right? So if a bunch of people are buying and a bunch of people are selling, the price will end up being the net of those two factors and other more complicated things, but for this, you can assume just that. So the reason that the stock price went up to $2 is because someone bought one share for $2, either as a joke or because they're a weird meme stock person who happens to have the license to buy on these markets. Or maybe it was just a mistake. Regardless, that's what they're hyped about, is one person somewhere buying one share of a non-existent company for $2. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. Cloud Wizard says, personally, I'm here for your commentary. Thank you, but there's still a pacing thing. Even though I'm here to talk, I should let it play enough that I can have overall points instead of just constantly.
180 volume.
Welcome to the Matrix, man. Like,
welcome to our stock market.
Going on?
What? No, that's what I trying to figure out. How does something run 198 million% on 100?
Because it had no volume, and this is the only price action it's had in probably years or months.
180 volume. SRSCQ. Thank you, Booger. I missed it. I'm sorry, I missed.
Why is everyone in this show or chat's name like Booger or PP or Piss or Dick or Cock? Like it's all really immature shit.
But yeah, that's insane to run from fractions of a penny to $1.99 on 180 volume is on a stock that's apparently not tradable. And it's run on, unfortunately, Citadel is the market maker, I believe, for this now. So, I mean, just a little fun fact that I thought was very interesting today. It's like, what's going on here? And if Sears Holding from Twitter is out there listening, man, dude, props, congrats. Hey, I hope it stays at that price for you. So
yeah,
or it keeps going up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. When there's low liquidity, you don't really know what the actual price is. The price is what someone will sell it for, unless you have payment order flow get in the way. But
yeah, it was an interesting little fun thing. But anyways, we can stop sharing this. I just kind of thought this was an interesting little a fun tweet that we can speculate what it means, but at the same time it could be tinfoil, it could be nothing, who knows.
Yeah. Oh, well done, man. And yeah, definitely the Sears thing is definitely weird. Maybe it's a foreshadow, you know what I mean, bro?
It's not a movie. There's not foreshadowing in real life.
Maybe it's a foreshadow of something to come. But
Maybe
anyway,
it's part of something.
yeah.
Well, they're part of M3 Partners. So
Well, yeah, Sears has an agreement with M3 Partners until February of 2024. So I am expecting something to happen with Sears very, very shortly. Now, whether it was a glitch or something's going on in the background that we can't explain, but I definitely see within the next couple of months a little bit more activity on the Sears behalf, just because the M3 agreement's coming to an end, and they usually end up involved in some capacity, being a trustee or an escrow provider for equity offerings. So I do see a rebirth for Sears coming shortly, but again, that's more speculation at this point in time. And yeah, so I'm going to bring in Jake to be and Salvatore. I'll bring them in both at once. I'm going to see if I can get that round of applause that PP's all the mic test.
Mic test.
And Jake, brother, well, he might have stepped away for a quick second there because his video's, yeah, you can't get back in. Rumors through the mill is that you built this in about half an hour of time.
Yeah.
Mind if I played a video for everybody?
Go for it. Let them see.
Okay, I got to share my screen here. Oh, there's Jake. Let's get him in. Jake, brother, how are you?
Jake. Earth to Jake. Hey, there.
There we go.
How are you, brother?
Welcome back to Earth.
How's it going, guys? Well, I didn't know. I was trying to figure out why my thinking wasn't working, but there's the magic right there. How's everybody doing?
Good, man. Good. Good day today?
Yeah. Sorry that you guys have...
What's with these people in brick and mortar retailers? It's not a growing sector. Well, a lot of them think that it's so dumb. There's a bunch of different people with different theses on this. Some think that people are going to get sick of the Amazon model and people are going to want to go back to like stores like Bed Bath & Beyond, brick and mortar. I think that's ridiculous. I don't think that's true. Some of them think that it's going to be a metaverse thing where you're going to like put on a VR headset and it's like you're in the store and you're walking through the aisles of the virtual store, which is really stupid. Some of them think they're going to pivot to online retailing and take on Amazon. That's the big thing, is a lot of them think that there's a secret Amazon competitor that Ryan Cohen's working on, that Bed Bath and GameStop and Sears are all going to be a part of. Regardless of the reason, it's all delusion. It's all fake. None of it's real.
To deal with me as the B team to help fulfill the missing spots on the show, but I figure, I'll give it a shot. Why not? But yeah, it was a pretty exciting day today. Travis and I were going down a rabbit hole with
and Blockbuster. If you gave a list of like literally any joke you could make right now, like what, do they also think Radio Shack's gonna be in there? Yes. There's no joke you could make about a defunct company that isn't in on this conspiracy.
Wondering why the options clearing
virtually
picked October 20th as the day. So we'll chat about that a little bit, but yeah, I'm glad the thingy works. I don't know why my video wasn't working a second ago, so
it's all good.
I have it ready.
I'm just about to play a video here that Sal made. Just give me
do it up
back and see if I can get this up and running here. Are you guys seeing that? And hopefully the volume.
Jamie says, I hear Blockbuster and Hollywood Video are going to compete to see who makes it to the moon first.
It's good here.
I liked Hollywood Video more than Blockbuster.
In gardens kissed by morning's gentle light, there dwells a creature.
Something propaganda.
Graceful and free, a symbol of change and eternity. The butterfly, a wondrous sight to see, embodies life's sweet metamorphosis decree. From caterpillar's cruel, it does arise. With fragile wings it takes to the skies. A lesson learned in nature's grand design. The change is constant, an endless line. From chrysalis to beauty,
I don't like
it
that.
transforms. With patience, evolution's grace performs. In life we too must undergo this dance. Embrace the shifts, give change a chance.
Oh fuck, I hate butterflies. For those who don't know, I really don't like butterflies. Specifically swarms of butterflies fucking disgust me. I don't like it. This isn't a fucking bit either. I'm not kidding. This isn't a caricature. I legit hate it.
Struggle, we find our wings.
Tell me when it's over.
And from adversity, new hope springs. As
butterflies, moths, anything that flutters.
Seasons change, and eras start anew. We face the unknown,
it's over. Okay.
uncertain and true. But like the butterfly, we can take the leap, and in our evolution, our promise keep. Through trials and tribulations, we must strive to let our inner beauty, our true selves arrive. With patience as our guide, we will arise into a brighter era under endless skies. So let the butterfly be our guiding light, a symbol of change taking flight. In evolution's embrace, we'll find our way, transformed and stronger, come what may.
Wow.
Great. Sweet.
Yeah, I have two screens. The videos are here and chat's over here. I want to get a third monitor for over here too, but
Whoa.
That's pretty cool, man.
Fucking
what was that? That was just weird, right? Like, this is supposed to be a channel where you discuss stocks? What was that? Like, that's just emotionally... That almost feels like it feels like a religious video, right? Like, it feels like an ad for a religion. Like, I'm about to get inducted into Scientology or something. Like, it felt weird, right? What does that have to do with the stock at all?
A bit for me.
I understand to be clear, I should explain for those who don't know. Bed Bath & Beyond had to change its name because they sold the name to Overstock. So the new name of the company is 2023 930 DK Butterfly. It's that name because it's not a real business. It exists as a shell, as a liquidation trust that's just liquidating anything that might still exist in the company. So the name is irrelevant. The whole thing with Butterfly is random. Like, literally, I don't know if you guys know this. For filing purposes, things will sometimes be identified this way, where it'll be like a series of numbers, in this case the date, letters, DK, in this case probably standing for the initials of the signatory of the document, which was, their initials were DK, I don't remember their exact name. David something, I think. And then butterfly, random word. A random word generator picked it, because it just needs to be something unique, so that, you know, this is the only thing that has these numbers, these initials, and this word. You know, if you've ever bought a Wi-Fi thing, usually on the back there'll be like a default password, and it'll be like numbers and then some random word. Same thing.
Me, I felt like David Attenborough today, you know. Get them butterflies out. And here we have a wild butterfly.
Butterflies are worse than moths, but I don't like moths either.
Raping short sentences.
Moths are just goth butterflies.
To their death.
Oh, gosh. I could actually see you doing that, Sal. Your voice is just silky and smooth, brother. You know, who knows, my man? You might have a...
By the way, in this video, don't do this. Don't. You would die. I'm just imagining if someone were to, like, let's say, take a shot of water every time ABC later in this stream says so to speak. Oh my.
Calling. So, Jake.
Post had a message for you, ABC.
Yo.
I think, can anyone get the tweet up?
Which one?
Just before I came on the show, he had a message for you, actually.
Oh, really? Michael, can you pull that up, my man?
Yeah, I'll pull it up right now.
I apologize to chat here. I'm not as smooth as PP, but we're giving the gentleman a night off here, so excuse all the friggin' hiccups. But
slacker. RC would be disappointed in him.
No way.
Work or leave, you know?
Let's see.
Wait, so what are we looking for?
We're going to Pulte again?
We're looking for Pult. Where is it, Sal?
Oh, if you go to Polt's replies, it should be.
What is your Twitter handle is completely different than what you normally go by. What is your Twitter handle? Maybe he doesn't even know it's you.
It's at Yonder Being.
Oh, ABC there was telling Pulte to follow him on Twitter.
Different.
Remember when ABC desperately asked Pulte to give his resume to Ryan Cohen because he's broke and put all of his retirement money into Bed Bath & Beyond?
Then what you normally go by. What is your Twitter handle? Maybe he doesn't even know it's you.
It's at Yonder Being.
Yonder Being, got it. And yeah, Pulte roasted PP when we were with him, man. It was great.
Yeah. So, Sal, Jake, you guys, do you have something? I know, Travis, you were working with Jake today on something.
I was, but I would like to touch one last thing before we really get into what they want to get into, and that is that it was brought to my attention today that docket 29, which I'll share
He did.
now,
I'm laughing to death. He did.
had a very special clue for us way back in the day, and it apparently has been brought up several times, and it's just like there was so much noise or so much activity going on that was never.
AKA, there's a bunch of legal documents, and now our narrative has changed, so let's re-go through the old legal documents to see if we can cherry-pick any words or phrases that we can misinterpret into buying into our new theories and conspiracies.
Really brought to the forefront, and I think that this needs the public eye, is that docket 29, which was filed on April 23rd. Let me see if I can't highlight it. Can you share what I'm sharing?
Yeah, let me pull that up for you. And I'm going to save, I know the donations are coming in. I'm going to kind of save them when we have a little bit of blanket time. If I miss you, I will try and see if I can go through it at the end of the show here. We're having a power hour tonight, so we're just going to lay a bunch of information for the chat and audience and just have a little bit of fun here. So if I missed your donation, please know that it is not intentional. We appreciate any money for the PP show. It helps PP do what he does best. So again,
hey, maybe PP just received like a couple weeks ago over $20,000 in donations and has still been regularly receiving $500 donations every stream. So maybe PP has enough money from his community. Have you considered maybe PP has enough money from the community since they gave him over $20,000?
Please, if I missed your donation, don't be offended in any way.
So the beautiful thing about this is if you look at the email address, it says they can be reached at project.butterfly.2023.wg@lazard.com. Now, this obviously just kind of went over our head.
Okay, so project.butterfly.2023. Presumably they're using the butterfly name for the same thing it's being used for in the new title, which is to distinguish it? Like, that's the email they're using for that, because I'm pretty sure the Lazard law firm is the one that's administering the bankruptcy liquidation trust. So if anyone needs to email them about any of this, I assume they would use that. The law firm is handling the liquidation trust.
It's way back in April. We didn't think.
Why is PP collecting donations? Because he wants money? Doesn't make sense. Like, you would think if they all think they're gonna be rich, why are they giving him donations? For what?
Anything of it, but if we look closely, this is from April 23rd. It's almost as if the butterfly has been part of the plan all along. It's something beautiful that I ran across. I'm like, this needs to be shared with everybody. For anybody who's missed it, and I know people were even saying on the subreddit today, oh, this was brought up here, this was brought up here, and it's like, I never saw this. Like, it kind of just got, maybe there was some oversight, maybe most people know about it, and I just, zoomed past it and didn't realize it, but yeah, it's pretty interesting that this was in April 23rd.
Yeah.
One sec. Can I add that FUD thing as a... Because you can do animated emotes now, right? Let's see. Because if so, that would be a great emote to have. Let me see. Settings. Partner. If it wants to load. No, where is my... Did they change where it is again? Community... No. 1 sec. I want to see if I can get this. Incorrect. Is it on this one? Where did they put all my stuff? Community tab? Maybe? No? Emotes! There it is. Jesus. Let's make everything as complicated as possible. Okay. I gotta make the image. Wait, can I not auto resize it? Why? Okay, I'll have to adjust the size of it, I think, but I'll deal with it later.
No, I saw this a while ago. I did mention it. You're just late to the game, brother. But no.
Oh, someone else made it? Okay, I'm not gonna steal someone's emote.
It's absolutely amazing, and you'll find that a lot of companies do this when they launch a new project as such. They generally title it.
Because I know Alter is the one who posted it, but if it was
So you
someone
had
else's,
IEP with and Newell with Project Phoenix. Obviously, this one being called Project Butterfly, and we're now seeing the new holding companies through DK being named as Butterfly. You know, outside Carl's office, he's got a statue, and we didn't even notice that the day that we took a walk down to his office. You know, the butterfly is sitting right outside his building there, all on this tree. I mean, it's amazing to see. So the end is near, and it's pretty amazing to be a part of this. And Sal.
Interesting that they are accidentally, unintentionally co-opting the language of doomsday cults. Like, are they doing that intentionally, or?
Sal's video is just perfect timing tonight for this because, yeah, you know, we're witnessing something called a butterfly effect. So,
agreed.
Yes, it's interesting that they had the foresight to name it as Project, and it goes along with everything that we've seen.
At this point, had they already sold the IP and knew that they were going to change their name to the DK Butterfly thing back then?
Today,
I don't see why that would be weird, because they were selling their name quite a while ago. They knew they were going to have to take a new name.
That it's been strategic and purposeful, hence the limited kind of auction details, despite 150 interested parties having 26 qualified requirements and picking the second one, Dream on Me. So it looks like something has been planned bigger, and this wasn't just...
Nothing bigger is planned. Dream on Me had the best bid that actually went through. That initial one didn't come through for financing reasons. I don't remember the specifics, but they explained this in the documents. Dream on Me bought Bye Bye Baby for $15.5 million. And by that, I mean they bought the intellectual property, not the whole company. They bought the intellectual property, and now they're opening their own Bye Bye Baby stores. I think around 12 of them. That has nothing to do with you. Bed Bath & Beyond sold the name, just like they sold the name Bed Bath & Beyond and are now Butterfly, DK Butterfly, whatever. Whatever you want to call them. Gitara says, I'm so lost. Like, there's no way that a company could have planned something like this, realistically anyways. Oh, no. No. Of course not.
Chapter 11 to liquidation, and it's evident through the new entities that have come up with the DK Butterfly sequentially named up to 38. So does anyone have any idea what the WG might stand for? Is it like someone's initials, one of the Lazard stuff?
Working group?
Or...
Am I still echoey, or is it better now?
You're better now, brother.
You're good.
Okay, cool. I had wondered if WG was for a working group. That's the best I could come up with, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's a strong possibility. That makes sense. But yeah, I mean, April 23rd, that docket dropped, right? Which was the day of the bankruptcy, right, Travis? And Lazard was right in from the beginning, and we still have yet to see the final billing for Lazard, and I anticipate that to be one of the last ones to drop. And that will really, I believe, give a clear indication of what's around the corner. But maybe they'll hold.
There's nothing around the corner for you. MH Dark Beast says, I found your butterfly hate soulmate, Hannah.
I know. She wants everyone butterfly garden. That would be nice.
Butterflies are gross, right? Who would
Yes! Finally!
want anything to do with butterflies? They're weird and disturbing and ugly and disgusting, right? Is it just me? They're like weird little bugs that sprouted wings randomly and can now like fly up in your face. They're worse than moths in some ways, in my opinion.
Fucking based.
But...
Dude, she's letting it touch her.
That is the most based take I have ever seen in my life.
Hold that.
Collab with Owen, please, if I'm ever invited. I don't know. You're telling me I have to instigate contact with people?
After, who knows, right? They don't necessarily have to drop in advance.
They know I'm waiting for it. Because they dropped that. GG. That's it. I mean, we know. Everybody knows that they're still in it, so they're stalling. That's fine.
Yes, they're stalling. That must be what's happening. Ineffable Effort says, meanwhile, on a PP tinfoil stream in an alternate universe where it was 2023 930 DK Horse 1 Incorporated.
SD card. Look at that horse. The bushy tail, the big teeth, the hooves. Okay, my producer Tara Cates just told me this isn't a horse, it's a butterfly. Yeah, actually, it may in fact be a moth. But look at what the zoom did. I mean, you can...
Why did he... I never understood this. Was he just messing around? Did he genuinely somehow see that as a horse?
Go ahead.
Owen covers cults too? Oh.
I can wait. I can wait. I'm waiting for it, though.
Yeah, I think there will definitely be some confirmation in there, absolutely. Like with regards to what kind of sales occurred and that sort of thing. So I would.
No, that means they're still engaged.
Sorry?
That means they're still engaged. That means their job's not done. That means they have to oversee one last alternative transaction.
What?
So.
Yeah, well, that's what they're about, right? Is merger and acquisitions. You know?
They're obsessed with this idea, like, oh my god, the billable hours included M&A, mergers and acquisitions. That must mean that the company's merging with GameStop or something. No. No. In M&A, there's mergers and acquisitions. Bed Bath & Beyond's intellectual property was acquired. That's part of M&A. How do you not understand this?
Something like, I think Bill Pulte posted today, M&A, something like that.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get some tinfoil to replace my cap here and throw a tinfoil hat on for the rest of the...
Lampshading the fact that everything you say is batshit insane doesn't make you sane. It makes you someone who's vaguely self-aware that you're doing out there, detached from reality stuff, but you're still doing it. That's so much worse. That's so much worse that on some level you know what you're doing is really, really embarrassing, but you're doing it anyway.
Tonight, because there's lots of it today.
Yeah. So, Jake, man, maybe you want to take the floor and just drop like you normally do.
PP has the night off for some reason, so everyone else is here.
And then later...
Which is good, because PP's incredibly annoying, and honestly, he's the worst person in the group. All he fucking does is vape and say, like, right on, man, my tits are jacked, fuck yeah, and he then can't read. Like, those are the two things he adds to the show. Immature expletives, responding with right on to all the super chats, and being incredibly credulous.
Us with some new insight or some findings that you had. I know you made a post earlier about Form 25, Form 15, and kind of all the issues surrounding it and timelines that could possibly arise from such. So
I know Halloween Town.
Take the lead here.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely, sure. So I had the whole crux of it was that I had found an article.
Sorry, Stromboli. Stromboli said, Hannah in chat, want to relive childhood trauma? Yes. Where is it? I will click when I find the link. There it is. Oh god, it fucks me up so bad. Ah! To be clear, this is apparently not actually a butterfly, but it does instigate my fear of butterflies, at least in part, because it made me very conscious of the fact that butterflies are in fact disgusting bugs. They just have wings. Nope. Not happy. Not happy. Not good.
And it was kind of a law firm had posted it on their own website discussing the use of Form 25 and Form 15 in a merger and acquisition. And it's funny because I stumbled on it completely by accident, because originally I had been looking for what Travis and I were talking about, which is if the 90 days begun after as of the date that you complete the filing of the Form 25, or after the date
we did it. We saved the stock.
that it becomes effective, which is 10 days later, because there's a window for the SEC to object. So we still don't know anything, but while I was looking for that, this kind of stumbled on me. And so this was a law firm. I posted it on the PP sub today, but I'll just go over it in case anybody hasn't seen it. But so it just basically summarizes the obligations that you have to make with regards to reporting procedures and obligations towards the SEC. So it says that before running for the exits, an acquired company must first meet several requirements to successfully...
The company hasn't been acquired. Fenekagami says if he doesn't help glue this together, which is more likely this getting away from him or that they start to figure out it's a grift. Let's see. I really don't know. That's one of the things... I know you were talking about PP. I don't know. I have a hard time knowing where this goes, and that's why it's such an interesting, like, case study as far as I'm concerned. I want to see how this falls apart, or if it just stumbles on in perpetuity. Like, what does this become? I'm really interested.
Deregister from its reporting obligations. Often, an acquired company will have reporting obligations under each of sections 12B, 12G, and 15D. Now, these are addressed by both the Form 25 and the Form 15. So once you first determine the company's eligibility to terminate registration under Section 12B, then you go to 12G, and finally you do it in with Section 15D. And the important thing is that you have to do it in order. I don't know why, but I did notice that they do have to occur in sequence, and I substantiated this with the Kirkland and Ellis Journal article that was about going dark as well. They mentioned the same thing. So then it says, in order to suspend a company's reporting obligations...
How likely is it going to be a Heaven's Gate cult? There won't be any mass anything, but I imagine, like with any bad financial investment, unfortunately, people will suffer. And you know how that goes. But I don't think it'll turn into that, luckily. Jitara says, would the Temple of Paul consider butterflies akin to a form of hellspawn? The reaction they provoke from our otherwise cringe-impervious high priestess implies some sort of heresy is afoot. No, don't demonize the butterflies. I think they're creepy, but, like, they're just animals like anything else. It's not their fault I have weird brain things about them. It's like spiders. I don't like spiders. They freak me out, but, like, it's not their fault, you know? I'll get them away from me if I can, but I don't want harm done to them.
Under Section 15D, with respect to a class of securities, the company must be up to date on all its...
Can you demonize wasps and roaches? Wasps, yes. I don't know enough about roaches to know if they're actually a important part of the food cycle or the environment.
Required reporting...
Fuck mosquitoes, though.
Obligations, and such class of securities must have either, and then it's just these little requirements that we know that they satisfied. But so that this kind of gave an explanation as to why they still went ahead and did the 10K. So everyone wondered why, you know, if they're going to be bankrupt and just liquidate and there's not going to be any company around, why bother doing the 10K that they released in June?
Because they're obligations. They're literal SEC obligations.
And then the 8K that they subsequently released in September. And so in doing those two, they had become up to date. So they were able then to qualify to stop reporting to the SEC. So once eligible, a company may deregister at any time with the board, but normally not stockholder approval. So the board members conduct the approval, but stockholders are not part of the decision. That's normal, and that's what the Form 15 had also done. So then the important point that it makes the designation for that I want to focus on is delisting versus deregistration. So they're two separate things, and they both have to occur. And so let me go over it here. So Though the process of both deregistering with the commission and delisting from any exchange on which the company's securities are traded are mainly related conceptually and in practice, nevertheless, it is important to distinguish between what each accomplishes. So it says delisting involves removal from the exchange in which the acquired company...
It was removed from the exchange. Did you ever see the movie Meet the Applegates? Never heard of it.
...company's stock was traded. And deregistration involves terminating or suspending the company's reporting requirements under the Exchange Act. So these are two critical different things, right? So one is regarding the exchange only, and then one is reporting to the SEC. So the important thing so far that I want to highlight is, of course, you know, these are being done in respect to a merger and acquisition. So I'm going to show you as we go on and on why it's more and more relevant and related to what has happened thus far with this company, and why I speculate that this is exactly going according to plan as how you would conduct yourself.
It's all going according to plan. All our shares have been canceled. Bullish.
And your old business before you become acquired.
So
So then further down the page, it says merger consideration securities. Under Rule 12D2-2A, an exchange must file a Form 25 to deregister a class of securities, which we saw happen on July 10th.
Oh, wow. They deregistered their security. That's bullish.
So the important thing, as I mentioned, that Travis and I will talk about in a little bit, is there's a filing date and there's an effective date. So the filing date is obviously the day that it gets posted to the SEC Edgar, and then the effective date is 10 days later because there's an objection period. Obviously, there were no objections because they would have been posted on Edgar and we would have known about them. So it went into effect on July 20th and was filed on July 10th. In the context of a merger, once the certificate of merger has been accepted by the applicable Secretary of State, any class of securities that represents the right to receive cash merger consideration will, by law, no longer qualify to be listed, and the exchange upon which such class of securities is listed must strike those securities from the exchange by filing a Form 25 with the Commission.
I see what they're doing. Oh my god. This is sad. Okay, so what they're doing right now is saying... I'm trying to think if I can even come up with a metaphor. To summarize what was just said literally, he is saying, well, the law says if they were gonna give us cash or equity in return for our shares, they'd have to cancel them, as if that means that they must be getting something, not recognizing that just because in a situation where that happens it's delisted, that doesn't mean that every time it's delisted that's what's happening. It's like all apples are fruit, but not all fruit are apples. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? They're assuming because something that hypothetically could be good for them requires the stock being canceled, they think that means that the stock being canceled inherently means that good thing is happening, not recognizing that more often than not, the cancellation doesn't mean the good thing, it means a bad thing. But they're looking at that small percent chance that, like, well, it could be this, and assuming that that must be the case, because fundamentally they're agenda-driven, and their agenda is the stock has to make me money. So any reality that gets in the face of that is automatically disregarded.
So interestingly here, it notes that in the case of a merger, the exchange is the one filing the Form 25, which is also what happened with Bed Bath, right? So initially I thought that it wasn't anything suspicious or a big deal that the exchange had conducted the delisting, because originally when the company had filed for bankruptcy, NASDAQ were the ones that had issued the notice that they were going to delist, and the company...
Right, they issued the notice because they went below the reporting requirements or the share price requirements, I forget which. Again, you're assuming that any time the NASDAQ issues this warning themselves, that means there's a merger. No. It can mean that if that's what's happening, but it can also mean, like what actually happened, that the stock fell below the requirements for being listed on the NASDAQ, so it was removed.
If you remember, had mentioned that they weren't going to object. So, you know, under that pretense, I thought it was fine that they were doing the Form 25. But here we see a secondary source that says that it is not unusual in a merger, that the exchange would be the one doing the Form 25.
Okay, what if it's not a merger? What if it's just canceled? Let's get out of this preconceived notion you have that you still have shares. Because, oh boy, You don't. You got nothing, okay? So maybe take 5 seconds and go, what are other reasons shares might be canceled? Why else might the NASDAQ get rid of a thing that's on its market? Huh. Stop wishful thinking.
Reporting, which I thought was worth mentioning. So then it says, after the Form 25, the deal lawyer or the company need to be in communication with the relevant exchange in advance of filing the certificate of merger to coordinate the delisting of the merger consideration securities. So that again is important because it tells you that well in advance, or maybe as early as July, maybe August, coordinating with the fee statements from Tamar Donikin and Anthony Sangrillo, the NASDAQ may have already known about the merger occurring. And so it says here that
literally the NASDAQ thing said why they were being removed, and it was not because of a merger.
You, as a company and as a law firm, file in advance with the exchange so that they know what might be coming. And I'll go into why that is relevant in a little bit. So then the next section breaks down a little bit more about 12G and 15D. So these are the two other reporting elements after 12B. So it says, so we discussed delisting, right? So the delisting is strictly to the exchange, and now I'm going to go to deregistering. So in order to successfully deregister,
I look extra bright. Is something shining on me? I mean, I have a studio light, but all the lighting is similar. I guess lately I've been doing this to make the thing look more bright, but I typically do it with the top light on.
an acquired public company must terminate each layer of its registration under the Exchange Act. Previously indicated, deregistration occurs with Section 12B, and then it occurs in conjunction with delist.
Could also just be my face looking really white. I'm out of blush, so I'm particularly white today.
But then to terminate 12G reporting or suspend 15D registration, the company must file a Form 15 for each class of securities to be deregistered. Then we notice that did occur on September 29. So it should not alarm anyone that the forms that came out on the 29th mentioned that the securities would be canceled, because again, what I'm trying to say is this is standard procedure in a merger. And
it's also standard procedure when a company has gone bankrupt and can't salvage its business, so it becomes liquidated, which is what's happening to you and not the other thing.
Required as a prerequisite before the merger can occur. You have to get rid of the old securities. So here it breaks down again with the Form 15. It says, a filing of Form 25 alone will not get the company through the deregistration door. Completing deregistration typically requires an appropriately filed Form 15.
How do you run out of blush? I used it all? The fuck does that mean? Like the makeup, you know, like you put on your face?
So
blush?
I'll skip this long paragraph here, where it says later, though, that Rule 12G-4 provides for termination of revived Section 12G reporting obligations. I noted that because you'll note that the form that was filed with the SEC on the 29th by David Kasten noted that they were using Rule 12G-4A1 as the reason why they were filing the Form 15. And so here again it says Rule 12G-4.
You have blush you've been using for 6 years? I've had the same one for like 4 years, so I've had it for a while.
4 is strictly used for the termination of revived Section 12G reporting obligations, which goes hand in hand with making sure that you do not have to lose your exemption for reporting. Because if there is a replacement security, it's being held under what's called 12A-5.
There isn't a replacement security. You have no equity. Your equity has been wiped.
Which is in parallel with Rule 1145 from the Bankruptcy Code. It goes hand in hand to provide like a blanket exemption for reporting right now. But there will be events that will eliminate that reporting, at which point they have...
Or maybe they're not going to be reporting much anymore because they're not a company really anymore. They're basically just a liquidation trust in a trench coat.
To file those with the SEC. So the 12G-4 makes sure that they have covered their bases. So
makeup's easier to figure out than you'd think, by the way. I put it off for so long because I have such a fear of failure that I don't try new things. So it took me a long time to figure out makeup. But once I got the basics down, it's not too bad. It really isn't.
They don't have to reveal the intentions before they are ready to do so. And then the last page I thought was very interesting that I'm going to notice.
At least I'm talking about basic makeup. I don't know how to do really complicated things and like crazy eye looks and stuff.
Well, it's titled Those Pesky Shelf Registration Statements. And so we noticed that with the Form 25 in July and then the Form 15, there were also a bunch of S8s and S3s. And so everyone was wondering why they were canceling all these securities, because the language may have scared you in saying shares will be canceled, but there's a catch.
There is no catch. The shares are canceled. You have nothing. You have no equity. All of any obligation anyone had to you vis-a-vis your purchase of BBBYQ shares, those obligations have been dissolved because the stock is gone. I know I'm repeating this, but like they go on. This is a 3-hour stream and they're talking about something that doesn't even exist anymore. Kind of driving me up a wall.
Because if you would have read every word in those filings, it would tell you that this was only for distributed but unsold securities. So importantly, this deals with employee benefit plans and stock options and ways that you want to pay your employees outside of their typical salary with maybe share bonuses. These also have to separately be deregistered. So I'm going to go into that now. So a nuance in Rule 12H-3C creates issues for companies trying to deregister while they have outstanding registration statements on the shelf.
I'm going to skip past his whole bit on this. I think we get it. He's basically pointing to specific things and saying, well, in a good scenario, this thing can happen, and this thing happened to us, so we must be in the good situation. Not recognizing it also happens in bad situations. So, we're just going to skip ahead to the next part, shall we? Oh, that's him still talking about that, I think.
After market hours again, like it did last time, or maybe it'll come out Sunday night. But OCC will accelerate the expiration date to the current standard expiration. However, if the option deliverable is converted to cash after Tuesday of expiration, the OCC will not accelerate the expiration. Monday or Tuesday.
Now he's talking about the options thing, which we already talked about.
Everyone involved with an actual distribution is going to know about it before. It's not like we're suggesting that everyone finds out Sunday night and by Monday morning they have to have it all figured out. The certificate of merger has obviously already been filed. If there
No, it hasn't! There's no merger!
is one. All of these things are already well known since at least October 2nd.
It's scary how confident wrong people can be. Isn't this horrifying?
Because that's when the OCC...
And how confident they sound?
OCC decided to say that October 20th was the acceleration date. And again, for them to decide that, obviously that means they're expecting that Monday or Tuesday of that week, there would be a distribution. So since October 2nd, at least, whoever is in charge of, managing that has known what's going on. And yeah, we're just hanging around to find out. I agree with you. I think Sunday night is a pretty reasonable timeline. And then by Monday or Tuesday, everything's kind of in everyone's accounts and we know where we're at.
Question on the table is, and gotta ask it, I know I don't like to get too antsy, or are we going tokenized? Are we going blockchain? I think that's
no
the question that needs to be asked, and I don't see a way that we can answer it.
Does it need to be asked?
There's tidbits here and there, and I want to say that there's
He's back.
Enough language.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Language that I think it's possible, and if it is, if we go back to a normal liquid market, centralized exchange like we're in right now, we still have a very good opportunity to have this thing squeezed. If we go
crypto's doing great. Let's go on the blockchain.
Decentralized, blockchain, tokenized.
More buzzwords. Metaverse, AI, groundbreaking. Disruptive.
Anything. Times 10.
I think it's highly likely.
Let's make Bed Bath & Beyond an NFT. True! Let's sell them towel NFTs.
About it. I wish we had Citizen here because he's a blockchain expert. I don't know.
I think it's highly likely for a multitude of reasons. Firstly is overstock owning BSTX through T0. I also think with the 1145 rule...
it's like Neil Breen dialogue.
That I brought up the other day, they have a limited exemption from the SEC rule. I'll have to find the exact rule. But during the Chapter 11, they actually have a loophole which allows them to get securities issued without informing the SEC. So we've got two reasons there. And thirdly, the proceeding
Suck it, Gary Gensler.
fraud leading up to the case. I think we can see 3 legal teams that have been assigned. One was an ad hoc Vice lawyer.
Meme stock lover, you're wonderful. I hope you know that. Your endless confidence and optimism is something to behold.
I forgot his name. The other one is Michael Goldberg, and we've seen Shelley Lombard bring on Nick Lewin, who is also a fraud expert, RICO expert, Ponzi scheme securities.
Night job, Abba.
If we look at all of the votes that were probably gathered from the reverse split, I'm sure they outweighed the amount of shares issued at the time. We look at the DTCC numbers of shares, 60 million over at the time.
He does have Peter level optimism.
Look at the high volume in January, 90 days on reg show. I think there's 3 highly probable preceding indicators to show we need to leave the exchange. We have the evidence, and we have the platform and the precedents.
I agree.
And there's some
I-
big players involved. Like one is like the 3rd highest person at ICE, which is from that does the New York Stock Exchange. They moved to T0, and so that, and like I've been following back the history of Overstock and then them moving towards T0, and they've been in this fight for apparently a very long time, like since the early 2000s. So that, and they've also been eyeing the market. I heard
Sure, I hate Twitch times too.
like I watched a interview where they were talking about this is a while back where they were talking about the home goods space and who all was in there and who was going to survive versus, you know, Wayfair versus At Home versus Amazon and Target. So I think that they've been, you know, having like setting this up for a long time. So it seems very likely that they would make it work.
Yeah, and I would say that
Why is Billy doing this? When I was in jail, I wanted to write a book. I was asked why anyone would care about my story. To answer the question, I wrote a memoir introduction that tried to capture the magic and sheer ridiculousness of what was happening on the weekend trips that ultimately led to the festival. A few months after I wrote my intro, the documentaries came out. You know some of the stories. You know some of the people who were there, and when you ask any of us, these trips were unquestionably the most memorable 3 days of our lives. We know. That's part of the reason people hate you. I've been dreaming of them every day for 5 years, and finally, they're back. Isn't he banned from the Bahamas? Like, didn't they ban him for life? Like, if he goes to the Bahamas, isn't he gonna get arrested for fraud?
that even if the blockchain idea didn't come to fruition, I don't think anybody should be worried that there wouldn't be a squeeze. I mean, because on centralized markets, there's been plenty of short squeezes, right? Like, you know, there's Tesla, there's VW, there's a bunch, you know? So it's not like it can't happen if it goes back to the NASDAQ. Blockchain would be amazing, but you can also consider the idea.
And it would be amazing if it rained candy, gumdrops, and chocolate every day. Woo!
The same way that Overstock did it, right? Where they were on a centralized exchange with an NFT, non-copyable dividend, right?
Meme stock lover, how do you feel about Billy and the Fire Festival and his other quote-unquote business ventures? Are you a fan?
You can maybe attach something to each share.
I'm just seeing if you do the thing where every time you try and say the most controversial thing, which kind of feels like your whole thing here.
And then you would force everyone that has a short position to have to go to the market and purchase that to provide that dividend, right? So, you know, there's lots of ways it can play out. Obviously, having the close contact with Overstock now, they're obviously very...
That's a shame. You should watch the documentaries. They're pretty good.
You know, arm's length from BSTX and T0 and all those protocols. I really hope to see a blockchain component. That'd be fantastic in terms of, synthetics and just printing fakes and not having to worry about that. That would be incredible. I mean, that would lead to some real startling price discovery. But either way, I think I'm not really concerned. As long as equity survives,
Fire metaverse, Jesus Christ,
there will be a tremendous short squeeze because I think this is overshorted to hell. I think people are in untenable short.
I hope to see you on November 20th, meme stock lover. That'll be interesting.
Positions. I think that's pretty prevalent by how they're communicating online. If you have like the virtue guy like constantly like having emotional episodes on the internet. It's very embarrassing for him. But like, you know, I think there's a lot of panic on the other side, and I think that's very telling of what we can expect in the future. Even if we're on a centralized exchange, I expect a significant squeeze, and I'm here for it.
Well, I think the food for thought to give is that because of these new companies, DK Butterfly, that have been set up, I'm viewing them as kind of an escrow or a holding company in order to do this transfer of equity, right? So in a sense, because it's a new company, DK Butterfly and Bed Bath & Beyond, so to speak, is being delisted and non-existent, so to speak.
Oh, here is this the part where you start saying "so to speak" constantly? I know people have different vocal tics. I'm sure I have words and phrases that I repeat ad nauseum that are annoying. But the amount of times that ABC says "so to speak" in this episode at some point drove me crazy.
And Bed Bath & Beyond, so to speak, is being delisted and non-existent, so to speak. There has to be something called a share recall. That recall alone is going to force a short squeeze. And thereafter, once that's paid off...
There are no more shorts. There is no one who has any short position in Bed Bath & Beyond anymore. There's no one with any long position in Bed Bath & Beyond anymore. The stock doesn't exist.
And everybody's paid up to date. That's where I view the
minus anathema
centralization is the best way to go. So therefore, you're never short attacked again. They start kicking the can in a new episode, so to speak.
How do you recall shares? How do you recall shares that can't be traded right now? I mean,
that was a pregnant pause where everyone was like, "How are we going to justify this?"
How do you recall shares that can't be traded right now?
You don't. The shares don't exist.
You can't. That's just it. I mean, the whole meme of, oh, I'm not locked in here with you with y'all. Y'all are locked in here with me. Like,
I have also seen The Watchmen and also Zack Snyder's other terrible films.
Like, they're locked in here with us. They are locked in. Shares have been canceled. They can't be traded.
Correct. Which means ... you get fill in the blank.
We're getting
or don't, because it's the same answer.
Delisted, and we're going to be something else because of some merger acquisition that we still can't figure out completely. But I mean, the cards are on the table, and we can read between the lines. Like, this is happening.
The cards are on the table, and you've bust. The cards are on the table. You went hit me, and you're at 27, and you're still saying hit me. Shit. That's something Dan Olson said. Credit to Dan Olson. Didn't mean to accidentally steal that from him. I unconsciously did it. The game's over. Like, it's done. There's nothing more to happen.
And how do they close? They can't.
They don't have to. It's over. When the stock is canceled, their obligation ends.
I thought that the ABC meant the
Watchmen doesn't deserve the hate. The comic's great. The movie sucks. The movie doesn't understand the themes that it's portraying at all. Zack Snyder just seems to think Watchmen is badass.
share recall being like a pseudo share recall by the equity redistribution, right? So in order to have the new equity come out, you have to provide a fixed ratio, right? So that in and of itself does a kind of sort of share recall, right? Or is that not what you meant?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is because what happened with DK Butterfly, if you look at these subsidiary companies or all these holding companies that were set up, there's 38 of them. They actually mirror exactly the incorporation and subsidiary structure of what Bed Bath & Beyond was. Right down to the
point. They literally they had to rename everything because they sold the IP. They had to rename everything because they don't own the rights to the name Bed Bath & Beyond anymore. Soraya horses. Thank you. Soraya horses. Trying to remember.
Date.
Have a good night.
Right down to the amount of shares that were initially offered when Bed Bath & Beyond opened up their doors, so to speak. So everything is a direct representation of that company, a mirror image, so to speak, but a new entity with a new aim. And so under the bankruptcy, under restructuring, all they're doing is they sold off some assets. In my opinion, they're being held as placeholders. You open up this second dummy corporation, so to speak, like a butterfly transaction. You do a share recall. Although they're not Bed Bath & Beyond, they're still legally this new company because this new company is the old company.
Okay, so what he's doing right now is trying to have his cake and eat it too. ABC wants it to be... This is so funny. In terms of Bed Bath & Beyond's obligations to creditors, he wants this to be a new company, so they don't have to pay any of their debts and obligations. But he wants the new company to be the same company in the sense that all the company's obligations to shareholders still are the same. That's not how it works. It's either one or the other. Doesn't matter in this case, the stock is canceled. But even hypothetically, you can't say you want it to be a new company as far as the creditors are concerned, but you want it to be the same company as far as you're concerned? You want different rules for different groups, because the reality as it is, you get nothing. So you're just trying to distort things and shape them to what you want, even though it's impossible.
You're just cleaning sheep.
I don't know if I'd want Billy on here. He's a scam artist, so... Maybe I'll look into it, though. Maybe DM it to me, like, on Discord, and I'll think about it. The IPs are shared... No, they're not! That's a thing that PP and all of them said, but it's a lie.
Do the recall, so to speak, and...
So to speak. Half-Sack, thanks for gifting a sub. Appreciate it. H-Beard says, if they were right and naked shorts mean that the vast majority of shares are fake, they still wouldn't make the huge returns. If the naked shorts meant that there was like a 15% discrepancy, I could see companies scrambling to get them, but if it's the vast majority, they wouldn't bother. They'd either go to Congress for a bailout or take what money they have and flee to a country without extradition treaties.
And it's a pseudo, it's not, actually Bed Bath & Beyond because it'll be delisted.
Good luck with that, meme stock lover. I hope you have a fun merger Monday, just like all the previous ones.
But because you're fitting under the Knoll, you're caring for the Knolls, you're still going to carry forward business in a sense.
No, it's liquidated.
It is the same company. Therefore, you do a recall, you do the distribution, and everything goes from that point onwards. That's my theory. Again, I could very well be wrong.
You are.
Yeah, I got
so,
you.
My argument to that was there was a couple articles put out, and I know mainstream media, I don't trust them, but they had said something about, retail has bought up $800 million of Bed Bath & Beyond since it went into bankruptcy or something like that. I don't remember the exact amount. But I did the math because of the price of the stock, and I realized, well, that's 1 billion shares plus.
The same shares can be bought and sold multiple times? Is he right now going to be like, well, they said we bought billions, and that's 1 billion shares, and they don't have that many shares? Yes, because the same share can be bought and sold as many times as it is. That's not saying that there's more shares than there are. It's saying that they've been transferred a lot between people. How do you still not understand the basics of how the stock market works? Oh my god!
So how do you do a share recall when retail owns $1 billion? How do you
They don't. They don't. You guys buying $1 billion worth doesn't mean that you all hold $1 billion worth.
What do you recall?
Or however much you think it is.
I mean,
whatever.
what? They're literally locked in here with us.
No, they're not. There's no more shares.
And I don't think you can do a share recall. A share recall is when things are trading on the open market, and you can go.
I'll give you this: they can't do a share recall because there's no shares to recall.
Somebody be like, "Hey, I lent out these shares to you. You got to give them back to me." Because
meme stock lover, you should ask OK Bet out on a date. You seem super into him, and that's cool.
This particular individual.
What does he even talk about? He's the TA guy, and there's no chart to look at because the stock is not trading.
In this account, and I got to make sure that they're made whole. Like, how do you do that in this instance? Yeah, you can't.
You don't. You're not made whole. You don't get anything. The shares are canceled. It's over.
Instruction letters to every brokerage out there, and you say, guess what? We're giving a nice, $25 equity, so to speak, or a cash,
so to speak,
settlement on this.
Thanks. I hate Twitch times 2.
stock here, I guarantee every goddamn lender of shares out there will be tapping their clients and say, I want your shares back, please, because I don't want to miss out on this opportunity.
The opportunity isn't happening, though.
There's so many ways to go about it. But again, I'm not too well versed on how the structure of the process would go. But to me, it makes sense if they're kind of mirroring what Bed Bath & Beyond was, creating this new entity, and they're about to give some type of equity in the future very shortly. There has to be a mechanism in order to do that. I mean, you would...
1 second. I gotta... Who is this that's even messaging me? Hold on. I'll message back later.
Witnessed after RC's standstill agreement came to an end on March...
Where do you put it on Discord? I hate Twitch times 2. Did you DM me or did you send it elsewhere? Or did you put it... Yeah, don't put that in general. If you put it in general, DM it to me.
17th, they literally had a reverse...
Yes, DM it. Even if it's public knowledge, I still don't want it posted, like, on the main channel.
Split call on...
yeah, remove it from general if it's still there, please.
On March 24th, saying...
I see the FTX guy is screwed after today's testimony. I'm not surprised. Sam Bankman-Fried's a huge fucking asshole. I am so tired of how he's being framed by so many media outlets. It's like, he was just young and immature. No, he's a fucking criminal. He's a monster. Stole people's money.
Hey, we're going to...
Thank you, Halloween Town. I appreciate it.
Do an RS split. I personally think that was FUD in the sense that they just wanted to get an idea of how many shares are out there, what's in the marketplace, and so on. Again, in this situation, the...
What's my Discord? Here, I'll post in general so you can just click on my name. There. Hannah Reloaded.
Judge asked Seed & Co., please deliver me exact share count that you have. I think there is manipulation, and that's why I do believe this decentralized play is really where they want to go, because in my theory, if you can't beat the system, create a damn new system and a better one, so to speak. So I almost see a move by forcing the shorts to close, paying up what's due, and then heading off on your own, so to speak, with a bunch of other companies that are in a similar position and creating an Amazon platform. But
Things I hate Twitch
again, I don't want to derail the conversation from that.
No. And my question to that is, even if, all right, let's say I'm a short seller. Somebody comes to me and be like, hey, I need those shares back because, I need to give them to, I need to recall all those shares. Cool.
I'd be like, I'm a short seller. I have a contract that I don't have to give you these shares back until X date. Go fuck yourself.
Short sold them.
You're just gonna go ask, I need them really bad. Okay, well, why'd you sign this contract to lend them to me? That's not how this works.
I borrowed them and sold them. That means I need to go out into the market and rebuy them to give them back. That part can't be done. That's it can't be done right now. And that's why I'm saying, if we go blockchain, if we go tokenized, if we go anything DEX right now, and let's remember, RC said it and made a post about it, sexist for dummies. If we go DEX, I mean, whatever your price point was, times 10.
You thought they could claw them back. That's why it's so risky. I think it depends on if they bought this stuff on margin or not.
Times 10, that's it. Now, if we don't go blockchain, if we go back on a normal exchange, fine. There can still be a
short. You can get margin called on your shorts, but like, if you just bought them or just did a contract where that's not part of it, no.
Squeeze, because an entity is going to take over an entity that has all these NOLs that they're going to start reoperating their business potentially, and be able to obtain those NOLs and use those as tax benefits. Where
Travis speaks your language 10x at least. Yeah, it must be nice just getting to believe any nice platitude that someone says without any consideration for how close or distant from reality it is.
Their profits for the next 10 years are tax-free. They're tax-free.
Except you also have to buy the company and all of its debts if you want the NOLs, so you'd still lose money.
That's just going to put more money in the company's pocket.
Is he saying that blockchain magically makes it worth 10 times? Yep. It's typical, like, it's crypto myth making. There's no reason to think that.
However this is done, it's going to be...
You can dream, you can get a Lambo and a house, let a man dream. Sure, no one's stopping you, but I'm going to make fun of you. Like, imagine if someone bought a lottery ticket and it was like 3 weeks after the lottery drawing and they didn't win, but they keep talking about, like, no, I'm going to be rich, look at my ticket, see? And you go, well, the lottery already happened, you didn't win. And they go, no, you don't understand. There was a scam involved, and once that's uncovered, I'm going to win for sure. And they keep talking about, like, how smart they are and awesome they are for buying a lottery ticket and how they won the lottery and no one believes them. Like, you get how that would be annoying, right? Like, you get how people would make fun of that, right?
Share recall
Beautiful.
being...
And also, yes, wanting a Lamborghini does kind of make you a cunt. Like, it really does. If that's your first thought of what you want to do with money, if you get rich, you won't be rich very long.
I mean, from, you know, the new
Oh boy, I'm rich, what should I do? Ooh, let's buy one of the most easily depreciating assets ever. Woo!
company's
Smart.
side of things, where they basically say all shares
The highest I've ever won in a lottery is $400.
are being recalled.
Your uncle has a Lamborghini and it's your dream? You should find better dreams that don't involve material possessions that are unnecessary.
So that we can issue new equity.
I think you'd be happier.
Same being.
Because I'll tell you this, the Lamborghini wouldn't make you happy. Not if you're not already.
If we do go to a decentralized exchange, you still have to have a knowing of who owns what shares so that when you issue the new equity. So I think that it still has to be done that way, Trav, because how else are you going to allocate the new equity to the new shareholders? Whether
There's no new equity. You get nothing.
it be the bondholders or whoever else is entitled to this equity, you have to have an understanding of...
Oh, you're 18. When did you even buy into the stock? You legally couldn't until you turned 18.
Who owns what?
I don't even know. And to be clear, chat, I know that Meme Stock Lover might just be a troll who has nothing to do with this and just finds it funny to play this character. Fair enough. Pretty funny. But, like, if you're really 18, that's so fucking sad. Holy shit, you got so grifted by these people. Oh no. Stromboli says, Hannah, if you took a Hustlers University course, you'd know Lambos are great for networking by going out to racing events with other rich douchebags who bought Lambos.
And so,
right.
Meme Stock Lover, it didn't work out. It's over.
You have that understanding of who owns what, in a sense, by creating the new company and keeping it along the same business line and same entity and same, continued growth, so to speak. You have the right to do a share recall, and that's why you create new companies, to force a close by the shorts, because you're going to issue that equity. So I do believe they have the mechanism to do it.
You said if this play works out. Right, it's not. It didn't. It's over. There's no possibility of an if. You are talking about things that have happened in the past tense. The stock doesn't exist. And if you are really 18, I give you all the credit in the world, because it's not like your fault, because you're young and immature and don't know better. But these people are lying to you. Reddit or wherever you're getting this information is lying to you, or these are people who sadly are quite deluded and lying to themselves. Again, I know that being part of a community feels like great, and it can make you feel included and smart, but if you really are 18, I am begging you, you have so much time left. Don't be these people. These are sad people who are desperate and lonely and absolutely do not in any way have special information. These people are lying to themselves at this point because they have nothing else. Don't get dragged down with them. You're so young and you have so much to learn still. Chalk this up as a learning experience and move on with your life. Because if you don't, not going to be a good adulthood looking for you.
Again, I could be wrong, but I see how that's the play would unfold is, yeah, we've got a new company. It's the same as what Bed Bath & Beyond for. We followed all the Knowles. We followed all...
Australian 4,500, so only $28.80 US, which is better, but still a ton of money. It's more than my first car cost.
all the regulations. In a sense, we're just...
It was a beater, but still, at 18, 28, almost $3,000, You can do better things with it.
Rename your company. However, we're leaving the marketplace. But before we do, we're doing a share recall.
To be clear, if you're in Australia, have you ever been inside a Bed Bath & Beyond in your entire life? Like, do you know why Bed Bath & Beyond went out of business?
Shorts pay up. All the
Cassifel, thanks for 20 months, says 20 months. Long time.
institutions, brokerages, call them in.
Glad to see you.
Pay up time,
How?
and then we move. I don't know.
How?
Chat, Cassifel, this is a secret, but Cassifel made something special for me that you're going to see soon. Don't know exactly when I'm going to use it for the first time, but Cassifel made something for me, so that's going to be fun.
Well,
How
let
can
me
anybody move or trade?
let me propose it like this. So for simplicity's sake, and tell me if I'm wrong. For simplicity's sake, let's say one Bed Bath share becomes one dildo share. Okay.
Hey.
And let's say that shorts are short a lot of dildos, and you have to understand that every short sale has a counterparty, right? So it's not like there's anybody that's just going to let them off the hook and say, hey, you don't have to close these, right?
I told Baha about it, but she didn't see it yet, but I did tell her.
So the counterparty is going to say, hey, I want my dildos back. But now we know that there's a distribution of 1-to-1, right? So those short positions get carried over. Just like everyone else has a placeholder right now in their brokerage, every short has a placeholder right now in their brokerage. And it's irrelevant that the securities are untradeable now because they will be exchanged for an equivalency with the distribution of a new equity. So when you have that new equity, let's say it's 1-for-1, you're now short that equity, right? So the squeeze occurs on the new equity. It's not that you have to close the position of the old. The position will be transferred, just like I have a
You have no equity.
placeholder right now in
There's
every one of my
nothing to
brokerages
transfer.
for all my shares, right? Let's say I have 5 shares.
You already have your own house at 18. Wow. Nepo, baby. That's interesting.
Those 5 shares are not going to be Bed Bath shares.
Your parents gave you $120,000 for a house? To be clear, are you aware of how divorced from reality you are? Like, do you know that you live like no one else on the planet lives and that your family's clearly incredibly wealthy? Like, you know that, right? Like, do you understand that, like, that's hilarious that you got that and that no one else other than rich people get that? I'm just curious, genuinely. Like, do you know, or are you completely unaware of how divorced from normal life you are?
For the squeeze.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm genuinely curious.
They're going to be...
You're aware, but it's not your fault? Sure. Kind of funny that you're throwing money away into this, but, you know.
Come dildo shares, right? And so...
Sorry,
I hate you.
He accidentally hit the button.
So now, if they become the shares of the new entity, that's what you're short.
You want to fight the short hedge fucks? Okay, you're not doing it. You gave them money. Like, you bought shares, and then if they were ever shorted, you gave them money. You understand that, right? Like, you directly gave money to hedge funds that were shorting the stock. Just so you know.
And so the squeeze occurs.
Beamstock lover, have you watched the Dan Olson Folding Ideas This Is Financial Advice documentary? And I don't mean did you watch 10 minutes of it and then decide it's FUD and close it. I mean, did you watch it? Did you watch the whole thing? Because it'd be interesting to see your reaction.
On that side of the trade, because your counterparty isn't just going to forgive you for your short position, right? Because the buck goes up the chain. There's not...
We're near the end of the stream, so I'm just trying to see if there's anything else at this point.
I don't think people are going to be giving up shares very easily. I think a lot of people realize the position that is here.
I'm not being mean. I told you the fact. You handed money to short sellers. That's what happened. If you think reality is being mean, you're going to have a really hard life. Maybe you need to grow up and mature a little bit before you start getting involved in stuff like this if you can't handle losing and being called out for it. MH Darkbeast says, we totally need to watch this anime sometime on stream. It's your 2 least favorite things in one. Is it the cult thing? Oh, it's the Jesus one. Jesus anime? Alright, we can do that sometime.
And so I do think that there will be a lot of stratospheric price discovery before people start giving things up. And I think, yeah, whether it's blockchain or not.
Yeah, it's quite possibly a troll. It wouldn't surprise me. It's entertaining either way, though, so I don't really care.
I think it'll be fine. Share recall or not, these obligations will have to be fulfilled, because in order for the counterparties, which is the brokers, to give the retail shareholders the distribution into their accounts, they have to collect those shares from the folks that they've sold it short to. But the people with the short positions took those shares and they sold them back on the market. They don't have those shares, right? So you have this daisy chain effect where, you know, person 1 has to go to person 2, has to go to person 3, and you have to backtrack every link in the chain to fulfill this share delivery until you get to the original long in the brokerage that unwittingly was contributing their shares to a short lending program that they didn't even know about. And I think that's just going to create an absolute hurricane of price discovery.
No, it's going to be an
A
absolute
hurricane of price discovery is such a funny statement.
foot race. You know, literally the shorts are going to be racing to cover each other, simply because this price will show the true value incrementally, but very, very
The true value is nothing because it doesn't exist.
very fast, and that's where the volatility is going to come in. You know,
yeah.
And you know, if somebody is holding 311 million shares, whether it be RC or somebody else that we speculate, they're along for the ride too, because they surpassed the opportunity to sell those 311 million at a 15% return. That was done for a reason. And again, you know, I'm excited to see what's coming around the corner.
And we get a glimpse of that looking at the Sears today, right? So if it goes up, Sears went up 1,000,000%, right? Well, if we get new equity, that means
198 million.
198 million.
198 million%. So if we get new equity, that means that kind of like when there's a reverse split, your call options, your limit order.
Yeah, they don't seem to understand that stocks are interchangeable. Ice Inanimate says, imagine having parents that trust you enough and are blessed enough to give you a $120,000 head start and immediately showing you don't deserve it by blowing money that isn't yours. This is why wealth rarely lasts more than 2 generations, right? If I were wealthy, I would first of all, I wouldn't live in a big asshole mansion or McMansion or anything. I'd live in a nice but reasonably sized home, you know, that was comfortable but not too big. And if I had kids, I would hide the money from them. That child is not going to know don't get me wrong, they're not going to think that we're on the verge of starving. I wouldn't want to give undue stress. But if I had a kid and I was rich, they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know until they turned 18. You can't raise a kid like that. You can't. They just don't know anything about how the world works. Their perspective is fucked. Like the kid who was just here, if he's real, thought like $3,000 is nothing. Like, how much do they think normal people make in money per month if they think $3,000 is nothing? It's kind of wild. Gitara says, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment that I can only afford because I started renting it a few years ago. I make way above minimum wage for Michigan. I probably will never own a house in this economy, even with my current job. I'm approaching 30 and I don't have kids because realistically I can't afford to give them a decent life on my salary. This is reality for a lot of people. I'd say most people. Most people I know, in fact. I'm saying this because I feel as though some folks need a dose of reality. No kidding. I know he said 4.5, but it's Australian. It's like 3,000 American dollars.
There's all that.
Phoenix Leftist has a GoFundMe, by the way. So, you know, help out Phoenix Leftist before you give me bits or anything. Logarth says, A, get representation. 2, get an account. Plus live off ladder cods until the end of time in a managed trust. Right? Imagine you get money and you don't just put it in something safe. Foolish. Yeah, like what's the median income in the United States? Median US income. Okay, so literally $3,000 based on median US income is more than the average income in the United States per month. Like, does the person who was here know that? Like, they threw more than a month's worth of salary for an average American in the garbage. And they're acting like it's no big deal. Like, that's life-changing money for a lot of people, and they really don't seem to understand the value of it. Sad. Indicative of a lot of the problems with how the world works. 20% to level 1 in a hype train. Casfell says, I simply forgo the need for money and live in the underground and eat anyone who wrongs me in order to survive. Running a goblin cult is fantastic for survival. Lonely, but I will live forever.
Or all your limit orders, get deleted, right? So that means that as soon as we get our new equity, no one will have a limit order even set. And by the time anyone even tries to sell, there wouldn't be anything to sell and all these people trying to buy it. So it would have kind of a similar, it would just gap up like kind of immediately.
You know what? Good. No, not to option holders. If you're holding options and you're hoping for those to go, I'm not against you at all, but you got to close real shares. And if we go blockchain, and I'm hoping,
as we're about to exit here, an additional $70 million, and that was kind of a concern. It's like, why are they actually paying it down further if there's going to be a credit bid? Which kind of makes sense to the fact that you want to make sure that your equity portion, if it's a debt for equity transaction, that you don't have too much of a credit bid, because you're going to have to take that value in equity. And if it's more than
11 on the
Logard says, in my non-professional opinion, and this is not financial advice, but I have a great success with ladder CODs. Since they bumped interest rates last year, they just started turning over, and it's a decent return.
first day. And now here we are at the end, the plan is done, and lo and behold, the company's renamed to DK Butterfly. So it looks to me like Lazard have completed their job. They've done their purpose, they've achieved their task. And also, what have we not seen yet? Lazard's legal...
I always wonder, too, with, like, people who come and watch this show or Dan Olson's documentary, when they see, like, the things I cover other than this are, like, flat earthers, conspiracy theorists, you know? People who I think 99% of people would agree, like, oh, delusional cult groups, right? And then me and Dan do this. Do they not see the connection between covering, like, flat earthers or QAnon and this? It's basically the same thing.
We've seen Alex Partners, we've seen Kirkland Ellis, we've seen Alvarez and Marshall, we've seen everyone else. Why not Lazard's?
Good point.
Because they're hiding it from me.
Yeah, they're hiding from you, Travis, but ultimately it's not necessary, because in a sense, if you do file that with all your description as to your billings, that would give the shorts an idea or a little bit closer understanding of what's going on in the back.
You have severe doubts they were in fact from Australia. You don't get change from Australian 120K for a house in any capital city or probably most large regional cities. Certainly not mine. I think they were trolling. I think they said that was a down payment. I don't think they said that was like the whole house.
Background.
But either way, it's like they might just be a total troll making shit up. Either way, fun to kind of talk about and make fun of the, ideology, earnest or not. Cassifel says, so this is financial advice. I robbed 10... So this is financial advice. I robbed 10 banks yesterday and I'm so rich right now. I just bought a yacht and the guys told me I got to go pick it up in the city. Like they said, I meet them by the Precinct 19 in downtown near the jail. Me, a super yacht. All it took was a string of bank robberies. Everything's coming up, Cassifel.
I think you save that file for afterwards. You make your merger announcement, you hand off new equity, you force the shorts to close, and then drop documents like that. It's not a necessity at this point in time.
Another simple thing for people to consider is just go to buyBuyBaby.com. What does it say? It says coming fall 2023.
Yes, because Bye Bye Baby is a name that was bought by Dream on Me, who is opening Bye Bye Baby stores, which is a new thing with the old name. The website has nothing to do with you, it has to do with Bye Bye Baby, a private company you own no equity in.
Now look at it logically. As a business, you've missed a whole month.
Thanks for the hype,
revenue.
everyone.
Right when children are returning to school? Why the fuck would you do that?
Because it's not the same company, because they aren't ready to open yet, because the old Bye Bye Baby liquidated and the company that bought the name is opening brand new stores with the name, but it's not the same business. It's a new store with the old name.
unless the ownership hasn't completed the changeover. Because, as I said, Overstock, they started using the brand within 14 hours of the transaction completing.
Yes, they were primarily doing online stuff. The Bye Bye Baby purchasers are trying to open retail locations, which involves hiring a bunch of employees, finding stores, which I believe they actually bought some of the old leases that Bed Bath & Beyond was under. Getting employees, stocking the stores, figuring out how they're going to manage everything internally, because again, it's a new company, or it's a new venture for Dream On Me. So it takes time to set up a company.
Dream On Me still haven't started using it, and that's clear as day to see that the deal is not complete.
It is. It just takes time to open the new business.
In the public platform right now, why is the website not trading? They're still on their way. It's so clear. You know, Shills would not be able to answer that.
They already did, Salvatore, you fucking idiot.
On Me sit around for a month, missing valuable revenue on a deal that
they don't have things to sell yet, because they need to stock and fill their stores with employees.
Paid a whole year.
Cassifel says, okay, last thing, this is amazing and nice cleanse from Money Dummies. Okay. Ah! That's good. I like that. John Wick versus Michael Myers.
Year's revenue to complete.
I almost wish I liked Fortnite. I just can't. I don't get it. Too much of a boomer. I don't like it.
Makes no sense.
Well, what was the date for, because Overstock's IP deal was a little bit more structured in terms of it was a done deal, so to speak, and there was no kind of recalling that IP exercise. Whereas Dream On Me's was a little bit looser in the sense that it had an end date that at some point they could pull back the transaction for whatever reason. Maybe emerging out of bankruptcy, maybe creating a new company. There's so many different possible permutations that they could recall that IP from Dream On Me. And if I stand correct, that date was September 30th, a day after we received the filing on the 29th. So imagine sitting in a boardroom after you filed on the 29th, calling up Dream On Me and saying, "Oh, bad news, guys." Although I imagine they would have an understanding of what's going on. Guess what? We would like our IP back. And that's why you.
Ah, yes, ABC. I see you are a man of great knowledge of corporate law. I myself am quite an expert on the same level as you, and have you considered that maybe Dream On Me would do the classic no takesy-backsies clause? We need that IP back. I know we sold it to you, but can we have it back, please? And we already spent the money that you gave us for the IP, by the way. But, we need it back.
Seen potentially no website promotion,
no takebacks,
or any engagement in a public point of view. But we're so close to the 18th, so to speak, that I'm sure we'll get.
So to speak. Let's see. When am I going to do the subathon? Tuesday the 17th, maybe? Maybe Tuesday the 17th would be a good day to start the subathon.
A very clear indication of what is going on with Dream On Me, its IP, and who really do own the assets.
Yeah, and a few weeks ago, me and Jake spent a lot of the day looking back into the IP deals, and it looked highly likely it's a shared service agreement. At least the Bye Bye Baby side of it was, because of the difference in the overstock and the exclusion of the trademarks. So it looks highly likely to me some sort of deal has been made for Baby, and they'll be using that to access the Knolls and keep the business continuity.
Am I planning on streaming Super Mario Wonder when it comes out? Probably not. I can't imagine I'm going to get it right away. I've still been playing Starfield.
Enterprise requirements met and access, just $1.5 to $2.5 billion of Knolls.
Okay, sounds good, Casfell.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. But just guys, sorry, before we keep diving into it, I do have to go. I got to get a couple things done here off screen, if you don't mind. But
give us how many New Game Plus am I? I'm at number 8, I think. I've just been speed running. I don't want to spoil, but I've just been speed running, getting through New Game Pluses so I can get a bunch of upgrade powers, and then I'm gonna settle down and really do my second playthrough.
We got it pretty figured out. I think
I've never seen Frasier, so no.
I think it's pretty clear. I think the pathway is pretty obvious. I would invite everybody to read Bankruptcy Rule 1145, which summarizes the company's ability to offer securities coming out of Chapter 11 without SEC reporting. For anybody that tells you that you would have seen a security filing or an SEC filing for new securities if you were going to get it, explore 1145. It's clear as day that when you're coming out of Chapter 11.
All right, the original filings that they had about the plan are clear as day. You get nothing.
But what I would like for you guys to appreciate is this exchange cannot touch the DTC. So the new shares that are issued,
there are no new shares.
Can't really interface with the DTC.
All right, let's finish this up. I want to eat dinner.
Good job doing it, but it was a good start. So far, if you speak with Overstock investors, they had a very easy time onboarding. It was go to Ethereum Foundation and start reading. So just Google Ethereum Foundation.
Direct issuance of shares to provide the new ones in the future, because we've seen on the court dockets they've been discussing restricted stock awards and reissue.
Effective tax rate is you can multiply that.
Bankruptcy, and he did give approval for that. So we do have one case with Hobby Lobby, October 24th. I think that's going to be settled out of court. And if there is any remuneration to be split amongst the debtors, I'm sure it'll be a side agreement of some sort. I don't think.
Wait, why does it have to be though? Actually,
what's that?
You said okay, but you said it has to be.
But man, what a beautiful community for us to all dig deep like this, have these discussion and entertainment shows. I'm just fucking proud to be a part of it.
It's amazing. I want to thank you all for cultivating a wonderful community. You guys have been.
Feels like it's like you're proud to be a crew member on the Titanic. Like, it's not like, I don't know, I'm glad that you made friends or whatever, but like, still embarrassing.
Great. This has been phenomenal. I've met a lot of wonderful people. It's just like a broad span of knowledge, and I thank you all sincerely. Thank you. And then let's go for gold.
As broad as an ocean and as deep as a puddle.
Let's take care of this thing, and you will have.
When you say gold, you mean like the price of gold per share? Is that what you're saying when you say go for gold?
When I say go for gold, I mean go for all the gold.
Justification for the market crash up.
Well, based on the due diligence and the digging and what I've learned literally in friggin' 10 months, my man, this community is so well versed and they dig.
Maybe you just spent 10 months learning bullshit.
So deep. I do think that they could give, the regulators an education, because obviously they haven't changed much. Because
you think that you could educate the SEC? Holy shit, ABC. Reminder that you self-admitted that this is the only stock you have ever bought in your life. Holy Dunning-Kruger, Batman.
This has been brewing for decades, and they've been warned, by Elon and many others that change will be coming. And
Elon's a moron?
We're at this point in time where I think the regulators are now going to cut off the arms of the people that have fed them in a very nefarious way. And I do see change, but I also see us building a brand new system that is more transparent, that is better for the retail investor. And I do see a lot of big iconic brands and companies following suit. And if you can't beat the system, create a better one.
I'm just going to be honest. There's no better, and I'm not saying that this should be a thing, but it's so funny to me. The only time in my entire life I've thought maybe retail shouldn't be allowed to invest in the stock market without like a license or something, the only time I've thought that is because of these people. They're so irresponsible and show how stupid people in large numbers can really fuck things, and it's so funny that they think they're some exemplars of retail when they are the worst of the worst.
And that's what I think might happen here.
Yeah, but
hydrate. Where do I think the goalposts will move once the crypto plans fail? I couldn't make any reasonable prediction. It's like strange attractors, Like, look at where they're getting their ideas for their tinfoil at this point. The company was randomly renamed to Butterfly, and all of a sudden everything about butterflies connects. You know what I mean? So it really depends on any small, not important detail that they pick up on. that'll lead them in some specific direction. It doesn't matter. It's all nonsense, but, like, the specifics are going to entirely depend upon what catches their eye.
Unfortunately, you have to break the system before you can build a new one, and that's the unfortunate part of it.
Yep. And that's the bittersweet of this, and that's why I really ask, if you are blessed on this play and everything does come to fruition as you suspect it to be as an individual investor, I believe you have the responsibility not to just take a windfall and go hide in your, in your luxury and so on, but to actually continue, paying it forward and creating change yourself, because you were literally a chosen one. You were blessed. You were here at the right time. In the right community, and so I think you do have a responsibility to pay it forward and create change yourself. That will help alleviate some of the bittersweet here, because again, it wasn't us who created the short positions, who created the synthetics, who did the...
They all want to be what Pulte pretends to be. Also a good description of Trump supporters. They want to be what Trump pretends to be.
Manipulation and, took advantage of all the loopholes. It was people with a mandate to sell our box and kill companies and destroy the American economy.
Yes, short sellers. By the way, it's so funny that they're like, short sellers want to destroy the American economy. Let's be clear about something. The idea that there are people who only short sell, I'm not saying that doesn't exist anywhere, but I think that's pretty rare. The entire thing about hedge funds is that they hedge their bets, right? Hedge funds have long and short positions and options and calls all over the market in different positions going different ways. Because that's their business model, is that they take a lot of bets with the capital that they have, and they won't all work out, but enough of them will that their overall will make money. So the idea that there's anyone out there that's like, I'm going to use short sells to destroy the American economy, makes no sense, because if you destroyed the American economy, it would fuck up all of your other, like, long plays? So it doesn't make sense. These people are acting as though there are people who are only short sellers and don't buy long on any company. That's not really a thing that happens by and large.
And so if retail in any way is painted in the slightest notion that it's their fault, yeah, I'll be joining you, my man, because ultimately you can't blame, Peter when it was Paul that, ultimately did the nefarious stuff themselves.
Paying Peter to pay Paul, or stealing from Peter to pay Paul, is the old name for a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme.
Michael Salvatore, chime in.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's one person that I'm thinking of that works at T0, and he was screwed over by.
When Ryan Cohen tweeted that he got off the phone with what was once a great American brand, lots of problems, no accountability for high-paid execs, and little interest in his help, this could get interesting. He tweeted that 2 weeks before we went Chapter 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he divested himself from the company before that. That was the dump part in the alleged pump and dump he's being sued for. That particular lawsuit, I hadn't looked into that. Dan says, and I'm one to trust Dan's research. He's good at what he does. Apparently that lawsuit probably isn't gonna do anything to Cohen because it was filed by an idiot. So the claims are very strange.
And to date, I've not seen any other great American brand that has got him listed as a creditor, an interested party in Chapter 11 court dockets.
It is because it's done.
That's right. Well, listen, Sal, I appreciate you hopping on, my man. I appreciate that where you sound to kind of, but...
Especially I know PP's busy. I think the community needs it right now. I'm completely unscared. In fact, I would say I have unwavering conviction. But I know a lot of people are feeling anxious, they're feeling nervous. The best we can do is keep giving you the facts and the logic and let your own mind reassure you if it can. So thank you, everyone. And good.
What have the AMC bros been up to? Eating shit? I don't know. Nothing good.
Night.
I actually don't know. I haven't looked in weeks what the AMC stock price is at. But I know it was going very badly. Oh, it's up a little. Good for them, I guess. Oh, good. Oh, that's not good, though, is it? That's a shame. Okay, so not very good overall. Jamie says, Hannah destroyed by facts and logic. They're going to the moon, they swear.
Thanks, Sal.
Have a good night.
Travis, brother, you want to give us some closing thoughts? We got 1173.74. Oh, there's the 174 number there.
There you go. I first want to. I know Salvatore kind of made a joke about Alpha giving Platinum Sparkles the mushroom stamp, and it's funny. It is. But I just want to say, although we had some discourse on Twitter, I thought we had a great engagement. Platinum Sparkles, myself, PP, and she even made a very genuine statement.
Platinum Sparkles is a GME meme stock person who doesn't like Bed Bath & Beyond.
That I was like,
or,
look,
I should say, recognizes factually that this is all nonsense. Ironically, she doesn't seem to notice the same things in GameStop, but, we all have blind spots.
I don't agree with you, but I totally respect that particular tweet and that particular statement about, like, you think this is going to happen, but you don't want to see people actually get wiped out.
AMC still does exist, so they're doing better than the Bed Bath people.
Get hurt, but you think that, that's currently your thought process. And for that, you've earned my respect. You're not harping on people. You're not, saying, you're hoping people will lose. You think that is your current thesis, and I can respect that. I can be on the other side of the play with that. And so if Platinum Sparkles is listening, hey, much respect for that particular discourse today, especially because you even got Pulte involved, which my notifications then went.
I agree. I think it's important, you know what? And I commend you for actually giving her the respect on the other side of the fence, so to speak, because...
So to speak? God damn it, what does that even mean in this context? Fuck!
Fully increase, where we get another squeeze. And one win by either play in this community, whoever may be first, one win negates the wins of others if we work together. And this is about market corruption. That's how it started. I'm an 8-bit hard. I have
them saying that the meme stock thing is about market corruption reminds me a lot of when Gamergate people back in the day used to say it's about ethics in gaming journalism. It's got the same vibe, you know what I mean?
Been since January 2021. And that's how I learned so much about this community, is because somebody freaking stole my money in January 2021. I wanted to figure out why. I wanted to figure out how did this happen. And I sat down and I learned and I researched and I became an ape at heart, an ape strong together.
Are you talking about when people stopped buying into GME and it went back down?
Or whether you're in...
No one took your money. You bought in too high.
1 play, 2 plays, 3 plays. If any one of these wins...
It's ironic that I hate meme stocks, and I think I'm the only person on screen right now who's made money off them.
All are going to win in the end. And it's about market corruption. Don't break the basket. Break the system. Yes, there are consequences of doing that. Everyday people are going to get hurt. And, the average American might get hurt. People with 401ks, all this. We didn't do that. We didn't. Don't give yourself any guilt for that, because you didn't overshort, you didn't naked short, you didn't break the rules, you didn't break the laws, you invested in the company you believed in.
But yeah, and sometimes you still lose. It sucks, but that's life. This is why, and here's actually a good piece of advice from our good friend Ryan Cohen in his Teddy book. There's an important piece of advice in here. Let's see where it is. Here it is. I'll make it full screen. I did get a little money in the GME thing, yes. Stocks are little pieces of companies, said Teddy. When the companies grow, your little pieces of it grow too. Buy many different stocks, so not all your eggs are in one basket. Eggs! Tylee loved eggs and wagged her tail hard. See this part about diversification, so your eggs aren't in one basket? That's not a secret message. He literally wrote that in English. Diversify your portfolio, Jesus Christ.
But with that new power comes responsibility, in that you need to pay it forward in the future, if the time comes, and if that day comes, is we may have to rebuild from the ground up. And I think blockchain is kind of that stepping stone. I think we'll need to expedite a process to blockchain for almost everything on the market. I think the entire system's going to crash, but at the same time,
You think that the entire economy is going to crash, but you'll still somehow be rich. Galaxy brain.
Pay, whatever your winnings are, pay it forward.
It is aimed at kids. He's just a bad writer.
Help your everyday person. Be kind and be kind to each other. Just whatever you got to do. I mean, this could be cataclysmic, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't do that. And any sociopath, asshole, bedpost throwing dickhead who wants to tell me that, I can see you in front of Congress. Let's go.
Well said, my man.
I'm gonna end it on that. That was dope. I like that ending.
Well said, my man. Listen, I'm sure I'll hook up with you in Spaces, and we'll see you on probably tomorrow's PP show as well. So I wish you a amazing night, brother, and thank you for hopping on and saving me. And we'll talk soon, my man. Well said.
Michael, have a good night. ABC, good seeing you as always. Y'all take it easy.
Take care, Travis.
Bye.
Michael, any closing thoughts, my man? You got over 1,100 people in here. Anything you want to share with them before we close up the show? And
I'm just excited. I love all the people here. I love that.
Does PP pay them a cut? Not that I'm aware of, which is really fucked up considering recently he's received over $20,000 in donations. He better be giving these people fucking money. But I know he isn't.
The change is happening, and I've been thinking about GameStop and how it was shorted 138%. So even if
yeah, I think PP's a really bad guy. There are people on the PP show I do feel bad for. Michael, for instance, even ABC to an extent. They made bad decisions, but clearly there's reasons. PP just genuinely seems like the biggest asshole in the fucking world.
If a third of us paper hand it, right? If the short interest is probably a lot.
Like, this show has been so much more watchable without PP. I'm not even kidding. I think everyone on the PP show should go make a separate show without PP. He's the worst part of the show. I'm not even fucking kidding. Don't get me wrong, I don't want them to grift people and keep spreading lies, but, like, if they're gonna continue a show, oh my god, get rid of PP. He's terrible. And he's the one getting paid for everything? Jesus. That's not fair.
More than that anyway. But we could still just pick our price, which is crazy. And it's going to be amazing. Just watching Sears stock today just go up, and knowing that that's going to be us, that's crazy. So I'm excited. So
awesome, brother. I appreciate you showing up tonight. I appreciate you adding your insight. I'm sure we'll see you tomorrow on the PP show, and then hopefully on Spaces again. So
no, Sears isn't still in business.
Thanks for joining me, brother.
There's a few there are a few like Sears auto centers and stuff, but they're talking about Sears Canada, which again is like an OTC expert market penny stock that someone bought a very low volume of, but the apes freaked out because the price went up by a lot, because when there's no volume, any volume will change the price a lot.
I appreciate you.
No problem. Appreciate you.
Have a good night, my man. If everybody could show some love for Travis and Mike.
Yeah, PP's really bad at managing the show. That's something you and I apparently agree on, meme stock lover, troll or not. Yep, PP's a bad host. Hbird says, during the poll day stream, they kept playing referencing a Taylor Swift song called Only the Young. I actually listened to it. The song is about how her horror when Donald Trump was elected. I'm not sure why they picked that song, but it's an odd choice. He tweeted it, and then these guys picked up on it, and it became like a thing. It became part of their mythology, so we went with it.
In the chat, and there you have.
Yeah, there are like Sears auto centers, but the actual Sears Roebuck company, like the Sears that you think of when you say Sears, doesn't really exist anymore. What was left was bought by a different company, which is its own thing.
Love it. The PP Show. And I want to give a genuine apology to anybody that has donated tonight. I'm not as quick as PP and be able to run down and catch up on all the donations. So if I have missed you or I didn't put it up on screen to give you some acknowledgement, you've got my heart-held thanks. The money is going to support PP and his show and the hard work he puts in. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate Chad here. I appreciate all our guests from Salvatore to Jake to Travis, Michael, and OK Betts who have showed up tonight. Thursday, I won't be doing a show because we do have a Spaces call with Bill Pulte, and I'm looking forward to that show. We're going to be talking about his company and what his grandpa built from the ground up. And
Yeah, no, Sears Canada, 10%, I believe, was owned by the original Sears Roebuck. But again, that company doesn't exist anymore either, so...
it's going to be an interesting insight, so I encourage everybody.
It is, I think it's probably a licensing thing. For instance, there's a Bed Bath & Beyond Mexico that I believe still exists, but that's because it's a completely different company that just licensed the name. So...
way to hop on at 7:41, I believe it is, Eastern Time on Twitter, or sorry, X Spaces, where we're all going to have a little round table with Bill and talk about his company and the legacy of his grandfather and possibly market manipulation in that regards. And for the rest of you, we'll see you tomorrow night on the PP Show. Stay blessed, stay humble, and as the last words to each and everyone, make a plan, because if you are blessed and this does go your way, make a plan, because without a plan, you're not going to get too far. You know, so that's my words of wisdom, is sit down and decide what your future is going to be like and how you can help others out there. Stay tuned. God bless. Appreciate you all. Have a good night, everyone.
Meme stock lover, are you familiar with the QAnon community? Maybe look into some of my coverage of QAnon. Think about it. Pulte is not associated with that company at all besides the name, right? Correct, I believe. You cannot still short the stock. You can't buy it. You can't sell it. The stock doesn't exist. Okay, let's see who we're gonna raid. Thanks everyone for hanging out today. I appreciate it. Oh, Radham.
Like Trump.
Alrighty. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the YouTube stream. So I'll see you tomorrow on YouTube. We'll cover all sorts of fun stuff. And maybe some stuff that isn't so fun, but it'll be interesting. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks for hanging out. I am hungry. Alright. Adios. Bye-bye.